Marathon Success. Gurinder Ricky Singh. Dedication. This book is dedicated to all people who would like to increase their physical activity and increase overall well-being by running marathons. Accomplishing a goal of marathon completion can be extremely fulfilling and has many benefits. There is a wonderful boost to self-esteem, increase in self-confidence, increased overall energy, and an enhanced sense of personal accomplishment. This book is heartily dedicated to all those who are interested in learning how to prepare and finish their first marathon. It is the heartfelt hope of the author that the ideas presented will be inspirational in increasing physical activity, leading to increased well-being. Acknowledgements. My success in physical fitness is due to many inspirational people who have guided me along very tricky and uncertain paths toward success and reaching my goals. I acknowledge these mentors and many others who have encouraged me on my journey toward physical fitness success. Additionally, I wish to recognize my wife, Manjeet Kaur, for her continued support in all endeavors. Her patience, steadiness, and wisdom have always supported me. Due to many business endeavors, I have not been able to spend as much time at home as I would like, and my wife has done an extraordinary job with raising both our children. It is only with her support and encouragement that I have been able to expand my achievements. Part 1. The Marathon Challenge and Preparation. Picking up the Marathon's Challenge? You must be insane. It wears me out just thinking about it. The end of the street is too far for me to run, so I don't know how you do it. After all that time has passed, what thoughts have crossed your mind? Don't you get hurt a lot? They said, "Is this what you do for a living?" A common question is, can you eat chocolate? This is just a sampling of the reactions I receive when I tell people that I run marathons. For some, the thought of running 26.2 miles is the stuff of nightmares. Yet some are just awed by the notion of traveling such a vast distance on foot in such a short amount of time. Some people are baffled as to how this was done. There are some who admire and are envious of me, and there are others who wish to cheer me on as I pursue my goal. Whether you're a fan of the marathon or not, you can't help but be intrigued by it. Whether they are curious or impressed by my explanation, I know they will have some understanding of what is involved in running a marathon from hearing it. Everyone knows that running a marathon requires a lot of hard work and dedication on your part. If I don't put in the time and effort to improve as a runner, my natural talent won't amount to anything. Those who have ever considered running a marathon will agree. Running the whole 26 kilometers of a marathon requires an incredible amount of dedication and effort. In addition, there was an aura of mystery around the event. If you think you know what a marathon is, you still won't be able to grasp the full scope of the event until you've run one. Seeing exhausted athletes stumble over the finish line with looks of joy and relief is one thing, but really experiencing those emotions as you fight your way to the finish line is something else completely. Observing exhausted runners by the side of the road may give you a sense of how difficult the race is, but you can't possibly understand how other competitors keep going or how they find the strength to cross the finish line until you put yourself through the same degree of exhaustion. Participating in a marathon is far more enjoyable than watching one on television. Then, why do people choose to run marathons? Let's be honest, running isn't exactly an intricate science. Because it's one of the first skills we acquire, it appears to come naturally. While effort is required, no specialist expertise is necessary to do this. Unfortunately, many of us lose the practice of running as we get older, to the point when jogging the length of our street seems like too much of an ordeal. The good news is that with some work or retraining, we can get our running speed back to where it was. Adults need more effort to run than children did, but it's easy to pick up the practice again if you have a compelling enough reason, like improving your health. The next natural step for many individuals who want to get in shape is to sign up for a marathon. This may sound ridiculous, but it's a real tribute to the special appeal of the 26-mile trek. If you're just getting into running, the marathon is an incredible goal to set for yourself. It's a task that many people will appreciate and understand, but few will have the guts to really do. Sure, after weeks of training, you'll be totally drained when you finally cross the finish line of the marathon. However, the self-discipline and physical strength shown by someone who has completed a marathon are very inspiring. Many British runners are motivated to participate in the London Marathon by the sight of thousands of competitors who were slower, less athletic, and heavier than themselves in the same event. Participating in a marathon is a serious endeavor. It requires months of planning and road work. It's not like a 3K run where you can just wing it. Finish in 30 minutes or less, and get away with minimal body aches and pains. Introduction to the marathon. A marathon is a race where you slowly but surely lose ground. At the very least, it's 41.195 kilometers in length, 26.218 miles. Athletes like Kenya's Wilson Kipsang, who regularly clocks in at sub-2-minute speeds, are the clear winners. A full marathon was completed by him in 2 hours, 3 minutes, and 23 seconds. For the ladies, the record time is 2:15 and 25 seconds, set by British runner Paula Radcliffe. The typical marathon runner completes the 26.218-mile race in under 5 hours, running at a pace of roughly 8 minutes per kilometer. The average time to complete is around 6 hours. On the other hand, there have been times when an event waited around for a few more hours for a few hardy walkers. Half marathons are 21.1 kilometers, 13.1 miles, long, 21.098 k. It's the equivalent of running half a marathon. A run may be 3 kilometers, 5 kilometers, 10 kilometers, or more, but it must be less than a half marathon, training your mind and body. For serious runners, a 4-hour run is no laughing matter. It's a truth that many runners will drop out of the competition at some point due to things like physical pain, exhaustion, mental stress, lack of water, and other similar factors. A person who pushes too hard without enough preparation may potentially pass out on the route or around the finish line. It takes a lot of effort to cross the finish line of a race. You'll be able to run 4 or 5 times a week in the weeks leading up to the marathon. You need to be efficient in your training if you want to reach your goal as quickly as possible. Benefit from modern science, cutting-edge medicine, and the insight of a seasoned marathoner, the author. Proper form. Find your ideal form and unleash it as early as possible throughout your event to accomplish this. Training and practice are necessary to master this method. Optimal efficiency requires finding a speed that you can keep up for as long as possible while using the minimum amount of effort. Runners who have completed at least 6.214 miles, 10K, know that when fatigue sets in, the key to maintaining a comfortable yet rapid pace is to move as little as possible. That's the ideal application. Part 1: Timeline for training. How long will your training take? The response is conditional on the present moment. Runners with more experience will naturally need less time in training than those just starting out. The most secure times are shown below. Beginner level, 0K, someone who runs just when they feel like it, is a complete novice. You haven't completed a 3K, 5K, or 10K run or race yet. If this describes you, plan on putting in 3 to 4 training sessions each week for the next 8 months. To put it another way, if you want to have everything done in 5 to 6 hours, you should start now. 10 to 12 months of preparation are necessary to complete the race in under 4 hours. The first 3 miles, or the first several months, of training will take the longest, 4.828K. The reason for this is so that your body can gradually adjust to the demands of long-distance running. Try to hold out until the right moment. Getting hurt at the outset is counterproductive to your goal of building a strong foundation. Earn your stripes by working your way through the real world. Therefore, you enter and complete a 3K race after 3 months of training. 10K event after 5 months of training. 21K race 3 to 2 months prior to your full marathon, if possible. It's different running alone and on a course. For one, you want to know what it feels like. Second, you need to realize that in an actual event, you have a tendency to push yourself too much. Getting the experience allows you to control and take advantage of this urge. In doing so, you use that competitive urge to finish faster, within reason, not drop 3/4 of the way because the will to compete got in the way of your personal pace. Initiatives at the next level, 3K, 5K, 10K finisher. An intermediate runner is someone who has completed many shorter distance races, at least 2 3K and or 5K races and 1 10K race. If this describes you and you want to complete a marathon, you should plan on training 3 to 4 times a week for at least 3 months, if you want to finish a 10K, or 4 months if you want to finish a 3K/5K. Pro, half and / or full marathon. Someone who has run and completed at least a half marathon may be considered a professional. You will have a leg up if you can boast about a complete marathon finish. Since you have experienced hitting the wall, you can relate to how it feels, discussed in detail later. Training may help lessen the impact diabetes has on your life. Slowing down your pace will allow you to stock up on more carbohydrates. You may complete the race in less time if you consistently average 50 kilometers every week. Give yourself 2 months if you want a big race. You may now run 5 to 6 times per week since your body has acclimated to long-distance running. The author still favors a weekly frequency of between 4 and 5 readings. That's because I, myself, have to go to work every day. Time spent in training. When is the best time for you to work out? When and where you hold your marathon will determine the response. It's best to simulate the actual competition circumstances as you train. You should taper your workouts just before your July 6 a.m. event start time. Okay, if springtime at 10 a.m. is what you're stuck with, there's a good chance that this won't work for every single one of your runs. Actually, you do have a life and, most likely, a regular work. Then schedule it at least once a week. Both temperature and elevation are factors. It's recommended that you take the same route as the marathon you're competing in, if at all feasible. In this approach, you give your body a chance to adapt to the changing conditions of the road, the elevation, the weather, etc. Part 2, the effects of exercise on your psyche. A marathon's main advantage is that it calls for almost little expertise on the part of the participant. To walk, jog, and run is in man's genetic makeup. What you need is only a basic set of rules to follow and a lot of determination. There is no doubt about it, your training will be intense. That implies you need to be breaking down and rebuilding your leg muscles every day. Putting in the time and effort to pound the pavement until it can support your weight for 26.222 miles, 42.2 k. Boosting your pulmonary and systemic oxygen uptake capacities. Discovering your optimal jogging rhythm and form, mental focus. Additionally, the workout will condition your thinking. You should try to shut off any unpleasant feelings that may arise. And try not to whine about the heat, suffering, etc. Goal setting. Most marathoners don't train for 42.22 kilometers, 26.222 miles. In most cases, the complete distance is not supposed to be covered during training. Your longest runs will be approximately 18 miles, 28.968 k. In your mind, this is what you may anticipate. You will likely increase your target distance by 0.621 miles, 1 kilometer, to 1.864 kilometers, 3 kilometers, at a time before you get to the full 18.641 kilometers, 30 miles. This is so because you still have a lot of juice left in the tank. The game here is one of the mind. At first, it's best not to push yourself too hard. You should try not to dwell on how much more there is to go during the section in the middle. Keep reminding yourself that the effort you've put in thus far is paying off and that crossing the finish line will be worth it all. 0 to 6.216 miles, 10 k, goal. Keeping a steady pace should be your first priority. Instinctively, your mind will want you to pick up the pace of your jog. When you've gone for a run before, you know how to concentrate and go at your own speed. It's important to keep in mind that your muscles aren't at peak performance just yet. 6.213 miles, 10 k to 12.427 miles, 20 k, goal. Wow, I'm feeling better now. You'll feel your strongest after running 10.2 kilometers, 6.21 miles. The temperature has been raised to an acceptable level. Blood pressure and pulse rate are normal, and any previous discomforts have disappeared. You are weary, to be sure, but you are not completely exhausted. Only mental tiredness and mental agony remain. Because of this insight, you can now go forward. 12.427 miles, 20 k to 18.641 miles, 30 k territory. Going from a distance of 12.427 miles, 20,000 to 18.641 miles, 30,000, is a significant increase in difficulty. It is your intention to achieve 500 meters to 1 kilometer at a time, or 310 miles. As muscle soreness and exhaustion kick in, you'll have to slow down. This is great news, since you'll want to save your energy for the last 6.213 miles, 10 kilometers, of your run. You must force yourself to keep going. 2 or 3 hours of running had passed at this time. The thought "I'm only halfway" will cross your mind. You should tell yourself, "I've already ran 18.641 miles, 30 kilometers, and I can run another 6.213 miles, 10 kilometers, only by willpower alone, 18.641 miles, 30 k, and up the wall." All of your stored carbohydrate energy will be gone once you've gone almost or up to 18.641 miles, 30k. If you want to be technical, all of the glucose you turned into glycogen has been used up. You'll be relying only on fat for fuel, and that's like hitting a brick wall, ladies and gents. Your feet give out from under you, you're in agony from head to toe, you're sweating excessively, and you feel like you want to collapse to the ground the moment your arms are lowered. You'll soon be breaking down your distance targets from 100 meters, 0.062 miles, to 6 steps, 0.915 miles, 3 steps, 0.6 miles, and 1 step, 0.1 meters. Here is when your physical preparation and mental fortitude really pay off. If you've trained well for a marathon, you may not experience the dreaded wall until mile 24.854. 40k. Now that you're in the home stretch, you'll be more motivated to complete despite the discomfort you're experiencing. Running alone. It's okay to train on your own. A marathon is one of the few team sports where an individual may successfully complete the competition. It's helpful to have one, but it's not required. It's this way because it's liked better by some. That gives them greater leeway to choose their own pace and enjoy their runs. On race day, you should have some kind of crew to back you up. This is so since you'll need consumables like water, carbohydrate gels, towels, etc. Advice: sign up for a local running club. This gives you the flexibility to choose between individual and group workouts. On race day, you'll also have the crucial assistance this gives. Make sure you get in at least a number of dry runs with the crew. Running buddies/group. The mental motivation you get from jogging with a friend or in a group is invaluable. You're given jogging tips and encouragement, and you're even called and made to run. Training with a partner or in a group motivates you to push yourself a little farther, resulting in more effective workouts. Another benefit of practicing with others is the experience of what it's like to lose control and speed up to an unsafe level. Learning this while training is far more preferable than discovering it on race day. Choose a running partner or group that is highly motivated, has at least a few of seasoned runners, and follows a similar training regimen as you. Enhancers for social media. Many modern running devices allow you to track and share data about your workouts, including your heart rate, speed, distance, and more. You'll be more accountable for your actions if you share your data with the world. Please don't try to game the system by falsifying data. The same thing shouldn't happen if you go for a run with a friend or a group. A caveat: anti-selfie in particular on race day, refrain from snapping pictures while running. Injuries and a pileup are possible outcomes on race day if this occurs. Recently, a crush was triggered by a single runner in the Hong Kong Marathon. The outcome was a pileup with injuries. It's okay to drink before and after the event, but not during. Warming up and stretching before heading to the starting line is what the author recommends instead. Part 3: Training Approach and Physiology. The basic message of this book is to train systematically and effectively. In order to successfully complete a marathon, runners need to make several alterations to their routines and try out new types of nutrition and preparation. You should make such modifications before you strain a calf muscle. It seems to reason that if you run as long and or as fast as you can 3 to 4 times a week for 6 to 8 months, you won't see any improvement. Those who persist in doing so will forever be stuck in a situation where they can do nothing except repeat the same steps. You leave your best at the training fields, says one athlete. The best approach to training is one that combines variety with restraint. The importance of rest. A beginner has a propensity to overextend themselves physically and mentally in the first few months. You should not do it. Your skeleton and muscles aren't adapted to long-distance running. Therefore, you run the risk of injuring yourself or doing long-term, irreversible harm to your skeletal system. During the first 3 to 4 months, you should aim to jog 3 to 4 times a week on alternate days. Except if you feel that your muscles haven't fully recovered, you may skip the workout for 2 days. Still, you should never skip workouts because of muscular soreness. Realize that stiffness and discomfort are inevitable side effects of running. Good soreness, DOMS, and bad pain. Injury or very near it. The challenge is recognizing the difference between minor aches and pains and those that indicate a serious injury. Keep in mind the following guidelines. Applying ice to muscle soreness right after a run is recommended. After waiting an hour, a heated pad may be used. There will be less swelling and injury because of the cold. The heat will increase circulation, helping the body get rid of waste products like lactic acid more quickly. The discomfort will increase the next day. Delayed onset muscle soreness is a common term for this, DOMS. This ache is annoying and winch-worthy, but it's not quite a razor's edge. Your ability to flex your leg muscles will be impaired. Squats, as well as stair ascent and descent, will provide formidable difficulties. After a day or two, this normally disappears. You need to relax till the discomfort in your veins and spine, which feels like a sharp ache, goes gone. Hip and joint pain should also be cared for. You might take as much as 3 days off to recover from this. Seeing a doctor is recommended if it persists beyond 3 days. Localized pain that subsides after 1 or 2 days of rest, and does not radiate discomfort from a single point is to be considered minor. Persistent, piercing pain when pricked, particularly in the side or center of the knee, shin, Achilles, joints, etc., is reason for worry. If you often have hip discomfort, you may be landing improperly or using improper hip swing mechanics. There should be little to no swinging in a well-executed running stride. Take a day off and try running in a straight line. It's possible that you're a heel striker because of this. Proper form. Your easygoing pace belies your speed and stamina. The structure of the neck and head is optimized for forward vision rather than oblique or oblique forward. You're leaning forward at an angle of 95 degrees with your back perfectly straight. Taking use of momentum and gravity, this tiny tilt will help you immensely. You're sitting tall and proud, with your head held high and chest pushed out. Your arms swing freely to and forth at your sides, and your hands are relaxed and open. No side-to-side movement of the hips is desired. Never lower your gaze or slump your shoulders. There will be discomfort in the muscles and you'll tire quickly. Heel versus forefeet strikers. Much discussion surrounds the topic of which portion of the foot should make contact with the ground initially. The conventional wisdom is that you should be aiming to land on your forefoot. Keep your leg bent ever so slightly while you do this. With a rolling gait and an upward stroke, you then use as little power as feasible. Experts have argued that most runners should land on their heels, roll their feet forward, and then spring up. It's more efficient, so the argument goes. The author believes that whatever landing method works best for you is the correct one. You should know that running on your heels might cause discomfort in your pelvis and other joints. People who hit the ball with their forefoot are more likely to get injuries to their knees, Achilles tendons, and lower legs. Forefoot striking is recommended for those with a history of pelvic injuries. Knee, shin, and Achilles issues? Try walking on your heels instead. The value of good breathing techniques. The mouth is the most common entry and exit point for inexperienced breathers. That's the way to get the most out of it. This approach is flawed and need to be used with caution. Use your nose for inhaling and your mouth for exhaling. As a result, more air will enter your lungs and less will enter your stomach. This reduces the likelihood of choking on a roadside insect and also keeps your throat and mouth from drying up. You may find that your nose becomes your primary breathing passage as you progress in your jogging. The perfect form. Your most effective running gait is the one you're currently using. Keep the following tips in mind, and you should be able to run in a manner that feels comfortable to you. Advice: let your legs do the absorbing for you. This can help you avoid muscular weariness and make the most of the road's springiness. Running in the sun. In order to complete a marathon, you'll likely have to run for many hours in extreme heat. The Boston Marathon, for instance, traditionally begins around 9 in the morning. There is a strict 8.5-hour time limit in which you must complete the task. Midday till 2 in the afternoon is when the sun reaches its zenith in the sky. The math is up to you. That's why it's smart to schedule your weekly marathon training runs at the same time of week as your actual marathon. According to the author, nothing beats an endurance run for this purpose. Those who only ever run at dawn or dusk have no clue how draining the hours between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. can be. It's true that some greenhorns forget to pack sunscreen altogether. The author claims that reading it will consume between 25 and 50% of his or her energy and is also psychologically taxing. Methods of instructional variety. If you want to finish with minimal training and in the fastest pace possible, you need to train differently for every day of the week. You have your endurance day, interval day, speed day, killer hills day, etc. The simple explanation is that different training types put more emphasis on different muscle groups. Your heart is able to cope with different types of stress. It also allows you to be mentally prepared to handle different situations. Endurance run, pace day. The longest runs demand you to go the furthest, as the name says. The purpose of this exercise is to improve your cardiovascular and respiratory coordination and endurance. Aerobic capacity is another name for this. For another, it gives your muscles and bones a chance to adapt to the constant pressure. Running at 60% to 75% of your MHR is considered an endurance run. For thorough discussions of heart rates, refer to Part 5. The minimum time for an endurance run is 10 minutes, and the maximum is 2 hours. There will be no more than a 10% weekly rise. Training using intervals. Among the many possible methods of training, this one stands out as crucial. A steady pace requires the least amount of energy, so you may gradually increase your stamina and keep going for longer. Finding an appropriate pace that permits you to work up to 85% of your maximum heart rate before slowing to roughly 60% of your maximum heart rate for recovery is the challenge. When is it not preferable to go slowly? At least to some extent, taking it easy may give you a chance to recharge. However, if you go above that threshold, you are sabotaging your own healing and using more energy than necessary. 6 sets of 5 minutes at 85% of MHR and 6 sets of 3 minutes at 60% of MHR constitute a standard interval training formula. Doing so allows you to exert the optimal amount of effort for the longest period of time. Repeats may be done for 20 minutes at a time, and maximum heart rate can be increased to 90% as your training advances and your general endurance improves. Speed runs. Once a week, you also participate in speed runs. When you run, your heart rate is between 75 and 85% of its maximum. To maximize the time you can spend doing this, you keep a steady tempo. For speed runs, the clock doesn't start ticking until you've worked up to 75% of your maximum heart rate. When you reach an intensity of 85%, you must stop. The aim is to increase one's time spent running inside the 75% to 85% zone. Interval speed runs. In addition, 75% to 85% is the maximum percentage for heart rate. This time, though, you should aim to reach 85% as quickly as possible. Then, you decelerate until your velocity reaches 75% of its initial value. So, you start running as quickly as you can until your heart rate reaches 85% of its maximum. This procedure is repeated several times. The weekly rise rate is likewise about 10%. Hill training. You should also seek out training opportunities on hills. It's sufficient to do so every 4 to 8 training days. You may improve your total leg strength and get experience traveling up and downhill by doing this. Hill training is speed training in disguise, with good form training on top of it, so say some of the finest running trainers. If the terrain of your marathon includes hills, this is of utmost importance. If that's the case, maybe once every 5 days is plenty. The Boston Marathon, for instance, is notorious for its challenging hills. Heartbreak Hill is the worst of them all. As the height is barely 88 feet, 26.822 meters, above sea level, it is not a significant factor. The issue is its location, which is between 20 and 21 miles, 30,000 and 32,000, from the beginning of the race. Most runners hit the wall at this mile, making 88 feet seem like 10 times as far. Road work. Running a marathon on the road is the norm. If you want to be able to complete one, then you must train while traveling. You don't have to take the same course, but that would be ideal. For your first marathon, it's a good idea to choose one that mimics the circumstances you've been training in as closely as possible, in terms of height, temperature, humidity, and so on. In other words, choose your conflicts carefully. Trail running. Trail running is a favorite of some runners. The pavement might be hard on your joints and muscles, but the dirt road is much gentler. Most of your training will still take place on the road. You do road runs, but you also do trail runs to keep track of your mileage and gain experience with less stress. Treadmill training. First-time runners avoid the treadmill because they believe that training inside on a rubberized belt is ineffective for an outside road activity. They are correct, at least partially. However, they overlook the fact that a treadmill may provide a welcome opportunity to both save their legs and establish a comfortable rhythm. Think about it. While driving, you can slow down whenever you choose. You can choose the treadmill's tempo, incline, intervals, and heart rate goals, and once you've established them, the machine will ensure you stay on track. In any case, you can always go in and change the settings by yourself. Instead of missing many workouts due to bad weather or schedule issues, it is preferable to run on a treadmill. Furthermore, any runner will tell you that the treadmill presents a unique mental challenge due to the lack of external visual cues for distance. Only the LED monitor and its annoyingly flashing lights can give you an accurate reading of your distance. Train. Off-day training, cross-training, strength training, as well as work on your core, shoulders, back, and arms, should be done on your days off. Muscle tiredness is annoying at shorter distances but may be severe at longer ones. Concentrating on them can help you stay away from the treadmill and improve your running form. In any case, keep in mind that your objective is to develop muscles that are both strong and toned. Therefore, you should do a large number of repetitions with light weights. Alternately, you may try swimming or any other low-impact aerobic activity. Part 4: Physiological boosters and feedback. To train more efficiently, you must first recognize your limitations. In this context, medical advice should be sought. Consult your physician and let them know that you want to start marathon training. Now, inquire as to whether or not there is any cause for alarm or any special instructions that must be followed. Basic gear. In the early stages of your running career, before you can maintain a pace of 7 minutes per 621 miles, 1 kilometer, for 1.864 miles, 3 kilometers, a good pair of running shoes and some light, breathable clothing are all you really need. When picking for a pair of shoes, give it your whole attention. Locate a store that focuses on running shoes, namely jogging and marathon footwear. This will allow the salesman to better assist you in selecting the ideal combination. Here are some key takeaways. You should choose shoes that work with your pronation. Pronation describes how your feet rest, whether they are flat, neutral, or highly arched. Make use of the wet paper test method. Drop some water on your feet to moisten them. Place a fresh piece of brown paper below it and lower it. To be flat-footed, every step must be marked by a watermark. To have typical pronation, the arch must be apparent, but the central section must still contain a couple of inches of wet paper. The arch is high if it covers almost all of the central section. Keep moving around while wearing both shoes. You may gauge your level of pain or discomfort by taking a stroll around the shop. Please ensure a secure and correct knot. Keep in mind that during training days, even the smallest amount of discomfort seems much worse. A. Tain footwear. B. The time was 3 p.m. In the afternoon, and especially after a run, your feet may swell. You should get a pair when the time comes. Including some buffer space, you're almost there. Break in your shoes by walking a few kilometers in them before you try to jog in them. In thus so, you'll save yourself future annoyance. Advanced gear. If you want to get the most out of each training session, you need advanced gear. This includes a lightweight and polarized pair of shades, dry fit shirt and runner's shorts. If you prefer, you can also use compression gear. These clothes draw out moisture and regulate your body temperature. Part 5: Heart rate, calories burned. Percentage max, VO2 max. Now we get down to brass tacks. Listen up, you'll need this info to craft an effective training strategy and evaluate your progress after each run. How effectively you handle the strain of long-distance running is directly related to your heart rate. The average resting heart rate of a top-tier runner is between 40 and 50 beats per minute. The average heart rate of a runner is between 60 and 70 beats per minute. As another essential, a heart rate monitor is a must-have. One that also measures blood pressure and includes a heart rate monitor. Neither a sophisticated barometer nor altimeter nor GPS gadgets are required. Just use $100 bills for now. With the stipulation that it gauges continuous heart rate, CHR. You can gauge whether you need to increase your effort or slow down for a recovery period by monitoring your resting heart rate. The issue with guesswork is that it usually leads you to prefer less effort. Keeping track of your heart rate can give you a sense of direction and help you avoid getting lost. Average heart rate, AHR. By monitoring your AHR, you may find out how hard you've worked throughout a workout. Your objective should be to increase your speed and distance while maintaining a healthy heart rate. Percentage heart rate, PHR. You may recall our talk on PHR and interval training. Exactly why PHR is crucial in this case. A heart rate monitor gives you precise information about your effort level, including how long you've been at it, how many laps you've completed, etc. If you're below this mark, you're losing time and not getting the most out of your workout. You're putting yourself at danger of exhaustion and harm by staying up for too long. Maximum heart rate, MHR. Your goal is threefold. First, you want to avoid going higher than your MHR. Second, you want to be able to sustain a running pace at 90% to 95% of your MHR for the longest period of time, before needing to slow down. Third, you want to increase your MHR. There are different ways to determine your MHR. The most accurate method is to perform a stress test under clinical conditions. The second is to use a simple formula of 220H equals MHR. The former is of course more accurate than the latter. VO2 max. Maximum aerobic capacity is what this term describes. It's a straightforward indicator of your ability to provide oxygen to working muscles. This may be quantified in a number of different ways. As the author sees it, clinical trials are the way to proceed. Part 6, Warm up, Stretch, Cool down. It's a common misunderstanding that stretching is the first step in the warming up process. To put it simply, it is illogical. Why should you stretch stiff, cold muscles? Your soreness is guaranteed. Proper procedure entails beginning with a warm-up. Walk briskly for a few kilometers, get on a treadmill, or, if you have access to one, ride a stationary bike with a high cadence. After warming up for 5 to 10 minutes, you may stretch for another 5 to 10 minutes. Dynamic stretching. When you run, you'll engage every muscle in your body. Don't ignore the rest of your body as you extend your legs. The health of your limbs, shoulders, abdominal region, spine, cervical spine, and all other joints is crucial. No matter what kind of stretching you decide to do, be careful to ease into the posture and release it thereafter. Avoid jumping about, making any jarring motions, etc. Here are some of the most effective stretching routines for marathon runners, with 2 sets of each lasting 20 seconds. Hamstring stretch. Piriformis stretches. Quadriceps stretch. Iliotibial, IT, band stretch. Calf stretch, cooling down. The purpose of cooling down is to reduce the body's core temperature and the temperature of working muscles. Keeping up some degree of movement for 5 to 10 minutes after a workout helps flush out lactic acid and other waste that may cause muscular discomfort. When in doubt, it's practical to take a 10-minute break and relax. There are 3 stages of cooling down. Pre-cool down. Slow down your pace for 5 minutes until you reach a walk. Cool down proper, walk for 5 to 10 minutes. Post-cool down stretching for 2 minutes. The actual cooling down process occurs during step 2. In this next stage, it's important to monitor your heart rate. Your resting heart rate is at this point. The goal throughout this stage is to reduce your heart rate to between 20 and 40 beats per minute. After a workout, beginner and advanced athletes alike should slow their heart rates by 10 beats during cool down. This is undeniable proof that your aerobic fitness has increased to marathon levels. Marathon for women. For women to be successful at the marathon, they will need to make a few extra adaptations to their bodies. Women will run slower than males even with equivalent training because they have less muscle. Consider these questions. A quality sports bra comes first. You need a comfortable amount of tension, not so much that you're bouncing about, but enough that you can move freely. Second, consider your safety. Having a jogging partner is the greatest way to get in shape. Bring a whistle and some pepper spray if you plan on exercising alone, in a remote area, or at night. Find an alternate, less dangerous path to training. Third, training for the first 3 miles may take women, particularly less active ones, an extra 2 to 4 weeks. Fourth, don't work out if you're expecting or just after giving birth. Part 8, Race Strategy. Race day is D-Day. This is the time you prove to yourself that 8 months of training and a lot of guts can get you to the finish line. Remember, you need all the minutes you can get. Below are a few strategies to consider. Warm up and stretch. Be careful to warm up and stretch before heading to the starting line. This will allow you to go back to your fastest jogging speed quickly. Don't go too far with the stretching, in particular. Separate yourself from the pack. There are 3 possible outcomes here. If you're a beginner, you may attempt to be the one to make the initial move and pull out. The alternative is to jog backwards until the mob thins out. Alternatively, you may stick to the edges and jog at your own speed, pacing yourself. You've been at it for a while now, training hard. Don't worry about hurrying anything. The audience is rooting for you, but it's too soon to show off. At the end, you'll have plenty of time for that. You run at race speed until you've reached your maximum mileage goal, and then you ease up to a jog-walk-jog tempo. Using your heart rate monitor, stay inside the 75% zone for as long as feasible. Keep track of how long it takes you to complete a mile and push yourself to stay at that pace. Hydration and food. It's important to stick with the same drink and food intake that you had throughout your training runs. Avoid trying out new strategies on race day. Hint: find out what kind of energy drink will be used in the competition. Sponsors are common during marathons. Go ahead and put that sports drink to use throughout your workout. Don't forget that you may use water to cool down your body and face as well as to ingest it. Team effort. Stick with your friends and teammates. This way you can switch lead positions to minimize wind resistance. A friendly face is always a welcome sight when it comes to endurance races. You can even set up checkpoints for your support crew to get hydration, solids or gels, and much needed information. When you hit the wall. For newbies, hitting the wall will come as a shock. Take it all in stride and slow down. Keep a clear head and look to the crowd. Think of the number of miles you've clocked. You've trained your body. Now it's time to bring it on. Part 9: Marathon Diet and Nutrition. For the sake of clarity, let's keep things simple, shall we? The significance of diet and nutrition cannot be overstated. You begin your food plan at the same time you begin exercising, or maybe even a few weeks beforehand. Wearing a heart rate monitor is a must. It needs to provide a calorie count and a percentage of fat burnt each workout. Eat to make up for the energy you expend. So, the more weight you shed, the more food you should consume, right? 70% carbohydrates. Eating a balanced diet that includes both simple and complex carbs is essential. Foods like whole grain rice, bread, oats, cereals, etc. are excellent examples. Just make sure there's no sugar on it. 15% fats. Fatty acids account for around 15% of the total calories you consume. As long as your normal rate of fat burning is maintained, this shouldn't be a problem. This pairing is not very good. If you want the finest outcomes, stock up on a wide range of options. Furthermore, if you are adamant on learning, here they are. At room temperature, saturated fatty acids, SFAs, are solid. Don't overdo it. Moderation is key. Referring to foodstuffs like butter, margarine, lard, steak, etc., limiting your intake of sugar, salty snacks, meat, etc. The fat we refer to as omega is really an important fatty acid. You'll want to stock up on them since their anti-inflammatory, pro-repair, and anti-pain effects make muscles feel better and heal faster. Oils found in cold water fish, including tuna, provide similar health advantages. Healthy alternatives to saturated fat are monounsaturated fats, MUFA. In order to reduce your intake of unhealthy saturated and trans fats, you should eat more of these. Olive oil, avocado oil, almond oil, nut oil, grapeseed oil, etc. are all good examples. Trans fat also goes by the terms hydrogenated vegetable fat and partially hydrogenated vegetable fat. Do not even consider reaching out and touching one. 10% proteins. Protein-rich meals should account for around 10 to 15% of your daily calorie intake at the very least. After a workout, your body needs protein more than before so that it can repair itself and absorb the nutrients you just fed it. This reduces the likelihood of your body resorting to cannibalism in order to get the protein it needs, and expedites the regeneration of damaged muscle tissue. And daily protein intake of 1.2 to 1.5 grams is recommended for every 2.2 pounds of body weight. Green leafies, fruits and nuts. You use greens and leafy vegetables to fill you up, instead of resorting to meat and excess carbs. Tip: eat at least 5 different types of fruits and vegetables daily. If each type is of a different color, the better. For example, you include in your daily menu romaine lettuce, tomatoes, eggplants, oranges, corn, etc. Half marathon versus full marathon nutrition. Glycogen stores can still support a half marathon. This means that you should focus on eating more carbohydrates and less fat. To run a full marathon, you'll need to pack on a little extra fat. Fat consumption should be increased by up to 5% for full marathons and reduced by 5% for half marathons. Instead, you should focus on eating more carbs in the days leading up to your half marathon. Pre-workout eats. An easy to digest carbohydrate rich snack is ideal for eating 1 to 2 hours before hitting the gym. You may eat as little as 45 minutes before your exercise if you have a really rapid metabolism and find yourself hungry midway through your routine. As a result, you won't have to worry about getting stitches in your side or having an uncomfortable or heavy stomach. Pre-workout snacks should be low in fiber, dairy, and oil. This manner, you can lessen the odds of being sick to your stomach or getting stitches in your side. Eat plenty of potassium-rich foods, simple carbohydrates, and a little amount of protein. Use the peanut butter and banana sandwich as an example. You may also benefit from eating half a cup of oats before a really strenuous exercise. Post-workout eats. Refuel your body between 30 to 60 minutes after your exercise. Make simple carbohydrates and lean protein your top priorities. Don't eat sugary or processed meals. Hydration. You should be able to drink 8 glasses of water daily with no problem. Put some time in between drinks. A total of 32 ounces, or 16 ounces 2 hours beforehand and 16 ounces an hour beforehand, is okay. You may also drink slowly up to 30 minutes before you hit the gym. Time your bathroom break for 30 minutes before your run or exercise and go. It should be barely yellow. This indicates that your body is getting the water it needs. Darker than that, and you're not drinking enough. It is recommended that you consume water at regular intervals throughout training and the event itself. After 30 to 45 minutes of running, you should start hydrating. Be sure to quench your thirst at regular intervals, rather than waiting until you're really parched. You could be on the verge of dehydration by then. You shouldn't chug your drinks. Sips should be kept to a minimum. Also, don't drink too much. It's the perfect amount to moisten your tongue and throat with each drink. You should aim to consume 4 to 8 ounces every 15 to 30 minutes. Expert runners can drink an extra 2 ounces of fluid each mile they run. After an hour and a half of jogging, your body needs more energy drink and less water. Energy gels. To boost your performance on your training run, consider using energy gels. These are high in readily absorbable salt and carbohydrates and include other vital elements as well. If you want to find the optimal gel-to-water ratio for you, feel free to experiment within the bounds of the recommended consumption. These should help you feel less anxious about reaching the wall. Post-hydration and food intake. You should wait until you have cooled down after your workout or race before consuming 1 to 2 cups of water or an energy drink. Then, have a water bottle close by and sip from it often. If you've been keeping track, how many pounds have you dropped since you started running? Drink 20 to 24 ounces for every pound shed. A few of bananas and a peanut butter sandwich may do the trick if you're hungry. Have it 30 minutes to 1 hour after your workout. Sample menu. You may choose one set for each meal. When things grow stale, feel free to switch things around. Breakfast. Set 1, cereal, ideally one that is whole grain and not sweetened. Various fruits, nuts, and seeds may be pounded into a powder and added for flavor, fresh or dried. Get yourself a glass of milk, soy milk, or a yogurt beverage. Enjoying a cup of black coffee is okay. Set 2, muesli or oats with dried fruit, nuts, and seeds. The flesh of an apple, pear, or peach. A teaspoon of flax seeds or linseeds is okay to take if you're experiencing mild constipation. Milk, soy milk, or yogurt to the quart. A single cup of black coffee, without sugar. Set 3, 1 hard-cooked egg, served any of 3 ways, over easy, sunny side up, or scrambled. Reduce the amount of fat you use. 2 or 3 pieces of rye or whole wheat bread. Bananas, apples, peaches, and other fresh fruits. Set 4, porridge. Fresh fruit salad with 5 different colored fruits. Milk, soy or yogurt. Lunch. Set 1, garden salad made with fresh vegetables, with at least 5 distinct kinds. Fish, chicken, tofu, cheese, eggs, and hummus all count as 1 serving of protein, as do a few other foods. 1 cup of brown rice, 1 cup of mashed potatoes, or 1 cup of fresh pasta tossed with olive oil and dried tomatoes. Set 2, sandwich made of dense rye bread, stuffed with fresh fruit, such as pineapple or avocado, plus some protein, i.e. fish or poultry. Giant bowl of Caesar salad smothered with vinaigrette. Set 3, a vegetable puree or soup including 4 different kinds of vegetables. 2 pieces of toasted pita bread or oat cakes. Spicy hummus, a thick slab of cottage cheese, or some cool, silky tofu. Set 4, a cup of brown or white rice. Grilled chicken or fish. Chutney, salsa, or a mix of carrots, green peas and corn. Dinner. Set 1, pasta with olive oil and dried tomatoes, lean meat, chicken or fish, vegetarian soup. Set 2, oil and vinegar dressed potato salad with scallions, no mayo, no margarine. One that is relatively lean, such as a lean piece of meat, fish, or fowl. Vinaigrette dressed Caesar salad. Set 3, have some toast or pita bread with your chili beans. A quarter cup of white or brown rice. Salsa or chutney. Set 4, soup made with chicken and greens. Whole wheat or rye bread toasts up well. Snacks, 1 to 2 hours before you work out, trail mix. Almonds, 8 to 12 pieces, and pretzels, 4 to 8 pieces. Fresh fruit or smoothie, 6 to 10 ounce. Yogurt, 6 to 10 ounce. Boiled sweet potatoes or yams, 1 big piece or 2 medium pieces. Banana and peanut butter sandwich, ultimate pre- and post-workout food. Part 10, Marathon Recovery. Post-race you must complete the following 3 steps. You should start by getting some food and water. Second, get some fresh air, ice yourself down, and take a stroll. Finally, you should get some sleep. The speed and security of your comeback depend on your method. Hour 1. If you reach the finish line and decide to stop there, that's okay. By now, you presumably passed it at a leisurely stroll. Please just stay out of traffic. Wash yourself down with water and refuel with a sports drink. Those who have blisters, cuts, or aching muscles should now go change into fresh attire and get medical attention. Relax with some post-workout self-care, such as icing, massaging, putting your feet up, etc. Now replenish your water supply, snap some snaps, and strike up a conversation with your pals. 30 minutes to an hour after the race, if you're still hungry, you may have whatever post-workout snack you normally consume. Some runners believe that icing their muscles after a race helps them recover faster. In a nutshell, you should soak your legs in cold water for 20 minutes. 10 to 30 minutes after crossing the finish line, when you've had some time to refuel and rehydrate, you should do this. Hour 12. Purge your system. You should prioritize getting more rest, food, and fluids. You should have your weight checked. Do a quick urine test. More water is required if it's a deeper shade of yellow or brown. A clear or slightly tinted liquid indicates that everything is okay. Restore your energy by eating carbohydrates, fat, and protein. It's okay to have a congratulatory drink and a little fun if it doesn't go out of hand. If you're having trouble keeping your eyes open, maybe you should have a cup of coffee. Put a limit on yourself. Don't drink and drive. Sleep well tonight. Experiencing general soreness is to be expected. Hour 24 to 72. Whenever you finally decide to get out of bed, eat, and attempt to walk about. Although you may feel agony everywhere, moving gently can help get the lactic acid out of your system and alleviate the ache. Keep moving about, drinking water, eating healthily, and avoiding abrupt motions. Take a couple of nonsteroidal pain relievers if you really need to. To further your recovery, seek out a sports massage therapist and book an appointment. To put it simply, this will aid in your speedy recuperation. If you can't find a masseuse, give yourself a massage. There are many relevant videos available on social media. Take a break. Most first-timers will benefit from a 1 to 2 week vacation from training. In other words, ladies and gentlemen, please do not wear sneakers. If you want to become in shape, try walking and cross-training. Swimming is the most beneficial cross-training for recuperation. This is due to the fact that walking on water puts less stress on your feet. Part 2. Interesting facts and key ideas for success. Pointers for success. The marathon is a 42.195 kilometer, 26 miles 385 yards, long foot race that is often raced on paved roads but may also be completed on trails. In the marathon, you have the option of either running the whole distance or combining running with walking. Wheelchair-specific categories exist as well. Larger marathons may have tens of thousands of runners, and each year more than 800 marathons are performed all over the globe. The modern Olympic Games began in 1896, and the marathon was one of the first events. It wasn't until 1921 that the distance was agreed upon. Since 1983, the World Athletics Championships have featured the distance. It's the only road running race that counts for both championships. Walking races on the roads are also contested in both. So, what if I run? This is a question you may reasonably have. Too many runners go out full of energy and excitement but end up doing more damage than good by pushing themselves above their pain thresholds. But that's not inevitable, and this book will explain why and how. Running is one of the best ways to improve your fitness and overall health, and with the appropriate preparation you can run your first race or push yourself to new personal bests in no time at all. In the past, humans were able to run far further than a typical marathon. One of man's best qualities as a hunter was his endurance. He'd exhaust his target to the breaking point. Whenever the chased animal seemed to be secure, it would bolt, only to be followed by the persistent hunter again. This would continue until the animal became too fatigued to put up a fight, having used all of its reserves in frantic bouts of activity. If you want to run a marathon, you need to follow a training plan to make sure you're ready for the race, stay healthy, and have plenty of self-assurance when you toe the starting line. In the 4 to 5 months you'll need to train for the marathon, having a plan to follow is a great way to stay motivated. A well-thought-out training schedule will have you gradually increasing the length of your weekly long run before gradually decreasing your mileage in the final weeks. Training for a marathon also provides an opportunity to perfect pre-race nutrition and hydration strategies. And you'll find out how to improve your long-run comfort by preparing yourself with the right shoes, socks, and other running gear. Months of training are required to complete a marathon. You'll be better prepared for success if you put in the time and effort to train, eat healthily, and gather the necessary equipment in preparation. But where should you begin? We've got you covered. However, here's the complete beginner's guide to marathon training to help you get ready to cross the finish line. Plan your training 16 to 24 weeks before the marathon. When planning a schedule of practice runs, keep your existing skills in mind. A minimum of 30 minutes of continuous running time is required before attempting a marathon. Training activities, distance covered during a single run, and recuperation exercises should all be included in your calendar. Give yourself a big window of time in which to complete your objectives. Especially with endurance training, you shouldn't anticipate instantaneous results. Set aside 16 to 24 weeks if you want to run a marathon at a reasonable time. Try to fit in at least one long run every week. Shorter distances are better when you're just starting out, so aim for a long run of 10 to 11 miles when you hit the pavement, 16 to 18 kilometers. Aim to fit in some weekly mileage increases. During the long run, you should be able to run roughly 22 miles, 35 kilometers, by the 16th or 17th week of training. Running long distances helps your muscles and joints get ready for the marathon. During a lengthy run, you should aim for a relatively modest pace. When you run, you shouldn't have to yell to be heard. Run huge distances sometimes and shorter or medium distances other times. Your cardiovascular health may be enhanced by going for runs of 3 to 4 miles, 4.8 to 6.4 kilometers. Faster paces are recommended for medium runs, those between 7 and 8 miles, or 11 and 13 kilometers, as opposed to short ones. You'll have the self-assurance to run farther and longer thanks to these workouts. Treadmills are ideal for controlled, short to medium distance runs. During a medium run, you shouldn't be able to talk or stroll. Your weekly running schedule should consist of 1 or 2 shorter runs, and 1 longer run. You should begin your run at a pace of about 6 miles, 9.7 kilometers per hour, and add around 0.1 miles, 0.16 kilometers per hour, each minute to that after the first 10 minutes. After 30 minutes, you should be moving at about 8 miles per hour. When you're not jogging, try these low-impact workouts. Excessive running in the weeks leading up to the marathon might have a negative impact on performance. Some of your training days should be spent on low-impact exercises that focus on maintaining and improving your endurance and upper body strength. You may get the benefits of cross-training with as little as 1 day per week of low-impact exercise. Incorporate jogging into your weekly routine every other day, with low-impact exercises on the other days. Consider doing the following activities: yoga, Pilates, and weightlifting. Don't treat training like a joke. Don't think of your long runs as just that, think of them as training for the marathon. You should rearrange your calendar so that you only miss cross-training or easy runs if you need to skip a few of training days. Keep a liter of water and several gel nourishments packets on ready for long, strenuous training runs. If you're worried about burning out, break up a lengthy run with some walking. Your longest pre-event run should be about 1 week before the event to allow your body plenty of recovery and fuel storage. 3 weeks before the marathon is a good time to do your final long run. That's how long it takes for the muscular damage that exercise causes to heal. There may be issues if another lengthy run is added. During the competition, the athlete may have dead legs and gain little, if any, advantage. Reduce your weekly distance by 25% to 50% in the last 2 weeks before the event. During the last week leading up to the race, reduce this distance by another 50%. You may be asking yourself, did I train enough? At this time, it's all right. It is impossible to make up for lost training in the last 2 weeks. Tapering off will not cause you to lose fitness. To the extent that you prepare yourself, you will be successful. Prioritize sleep in the week leading up to the race in the same way you would taper your workouts to repair your muscles. Your physical self will thank you. If anxiety prevents you from sleeping the night before the race, don't worry, the additional rest you obtain the week before will make up for it. Be careful to drink plenty of water before the race begins. It's important to stay hydrated in the days leading up to the marathon, so aim to drink 8 glasses a day. You'll be at peak hydration levels when the gun goes off. Include foods like bread, rice, pasta, and starchy vegetables in your diet. Glycogen, energy, reserves are maximized as a result. Avoid trying out any novel diets this week. It's not always easy to load up on carbohydrates. You should give it a go before your next big run, or maybe at a later time. Make sure you've got everything you need, including electrolyte-rich food and water, for the race. See to it that they are the identical ones you used for your lengthy runs. Typical events occur on race day. Consider tapering your strength training during the final 4 months of training. For the final 6-8 weeks before to an event, strength training should consist solely of calisthenics, ball exercises, Pilates or other strength training approaches with minimum external resistance. The objective is not to bulk up before the competition, but to keep your current level of fitness and strength intact. Avoid doing any strength training the week before a competition. You need to relax your muscles and prepare them for the race. Put on the outfit you want to wear today. Do not wear anything brand new to the event. 26.2 miles is a long way to go if you're uncomfortable in your clothing. A garment tag may easily turn into a terrible foe. If you're going to run a marathon, you shouldn't break in brand new shoes on race day. Put on a pair that has seen some long distance running, as long as they did not create any problems. Nothing fresh on race day, ever. On the day of the marathon, be prepared for anything. Fill a gym bag with the essentials. Dry shirt. Extra pair of socks. Tissue, you never know when the portable toilet supply will run out. Extra shoelaces. Gloves. Hat or cap. Vaseline or other lubricant. Extra safety pins. Blister care products. Whatever else is a must for you. Another day of preparation reminder. Ensure that you have picked up your bib number before the start of the event. Please don't plan on spending a lot of time on your feet during the exhibition. Despite the many shops, you should conserve your walking for the next day. If you can, get your number as soon as it becomes available. You ought to have your pre-run ritual down pat by now. You should do the same thing the night before the race. Maintain proper hydration and a regular eating schedule to maximize performance. Time your departure, choose your mode of transportation, and plot your parking spot for the big day. Before the start of the race, you should avoid becoming lost. You already feel anxious, so don't add to it. The morning's events, from waking up to getting dressed to leaving the house and heading to the starting line, should be well planned. On-course water, gels, or electrolyte drinks are often provided at the majority of events. Do not use these items on race day if you have not trained with them on lengthy runs. A stomachache may ruin an occasion, and even a little variation in sugar content can do that. On race day, remember to bring your own supply that you used for training. In addition to your electrolyte supply, you should also carry some kind of nutrition, such gels or chews. It's important to study the route map in detail and note the locations of amenities like water fountains, medical tents, and rest breaks. See whether the course is too polluted to play in. Prepare in advance if there may be increased pollution levels. Try to avoid polluted areas on the route to the event, and get warmed up in a spot with plenty of fresh air. It might be difficult to get toasty in urban areas because to the presence of towering buildings and constant traffic. Performance suffers, and those with allergies or asthma may have an even more severe reaction to the effects of pollution. Rise and shine. To avoid missing the start, aim to be there at least 1 hour early. You should not put undue stress on yourself in the moments before the start of the race. Here are some more suggestions for the big race. Take in some food and fuel your body. You should eat whatever helped you perform best before your lengthy runs in training. Get a lot of fluids in you. If chafing has been an issue, apply lubricant to the areas as you get dressed. Protect the area with Second Skin, Body Glide, Moleskin, or whatever works during training. If blisters or hot areas have been an issue in the past, place your number badge here. These days, a timing chip is usually fastened to the runner's bib in all but the smallest of events. Take this with you. Your bag check tag will probably be fastened to your bib as well. Check your additional gear as instructed in the race's pre-race materials. During your lengthy runs, you've developed a strategy for keeping yourself hydrated and fed. Maintain your focus. Stay strong and resist the urge to make a last-minute adjustment. Do not put off drinking water until you feel thirsty, since this is already too late. If the weather is significantly different from the practice sessions, make adjustments as necessary, such as drinking more water on hot days. Begin gently. In most cases, a good start may lead to failure. You can always pick up the pace later in the race if you're feeling well. Once fatigue sets in, there is no turning back. Good luck and have fun. It's a long 26.2 miles, but you'll have a lot more fun if you smile for the cameras, thank the volunteers, and wave to the spectators along the way. You should be proud of yourself for making through to the end. Few suggestions about how to handle life after the marathon. Drink. You will still be somewhat dehydrated even if you drank during the race. Specifically, you should refuel with carbs. In the 2 hours after a strenuous exercise, your body may be more receptive to absorbing carbs. You can always drink them if you can't eat them. Blending in some protein aids in the healing process. Do not go for something that is excessively rich in sugar or fat, since this may lead to gastrointestinal distress. In other words, don't stop moving. After the race, spend 60 minutes doing low-impact cardiovascular activity like walking. This will significantly reduce the soreness that often occurs the day after a race. Relaxed stretching. Do not schedule any runs for the week after the marathon. The best methods are slow activities like walking, swimming, or cycling. If you find yourself feeling tight after a race, a massage may help loosen you up. If you want to get back into running, ease into it by running for 30 minutes a few times a week. Speed training should be avoided for at least 1 month following a marathon, as recommended by most experts. Plan your next marathon and get ready to run. Consider your training from all angles and draw conclusions about its success or failure. Change how often you work out appropriately. The only true educator is life itself. Let your body rest and heal. A marathon is a physically demanding sporting event. Injuries, weariness, drops in performance, and suppression of the immune system are just some of the issues that may arise when the body doesn't get enough rest. Train extensively. In order to succeed at the marathon's renowned distance, athletes must train extensively. For most runners, the optimal time is somewhere between the 2 hours and change required by top runners and the 8 hours required by walkers. The typical marathon should be completed in fewer than 4 hours for males and 4.5 hours for women. No matter what you want to accomplish, you must be well prepared to have a positive experience and prevent harm. Due to the physical risks involved, there is no opportunity for error in a race of 42 kilometers distance. Physical and mental preparation for such a long trip requires consistent training and a wide range of exercises. Learn from our experiences and be ready to run 42 kilometers with these helpful hints. Simply put, a runner needs the same basic gear for a marathon as for any other running event, which boils down to the following. Purpose-built running shoes. Dressing for the day's weather in breathable, moisture-wicking, and chafe-free jogging. A cardio sports watch can help you plan your workouts, keep track of your speed when jogging, and keep tabs on your heart rate, all while keeping your feet warm and dry. You should train for a marathon by running shorter events like a half marathon. You can estimate how much stamina and strength you'll need in the long run if you do this. Do your best to get an early start on your training, too. It's recommended to gradually increase your weekly distance for a year leading up to the marathon. That is to say, proceed slow and methodically rather than charging in headfirst. To prepare for a long run, it's best to gradually increase your weekly mileage. The recommended weekly mileage increase leading up running a marathon is 10%. Aim for 3 to 5 runs each week and get started early to allow yourself time to build up to that distance. Step 2 is to prepare for a lengthy run. Once a week, increase the distance of your long run by 1 or 2 miles until you've trained for a marathon, which is usually 26 miles. For more self-assurance, to help your body acclimate to longer distances, and to train your body to use fat as fuel, try running at a slower speed than normal. You may enhance your acceleration technique by engaging in sprinting or high-intensity interval training. Since longer strides when running often suggest you can go faster, even marathon runners gain from sprinting while training. Rest and recuperation play a crucial role in marathon preparation, since your muscles need time to heal damage caused by your training. Recovery and rest are the greatest ways to avoid becoming hurt. Picking a marathon and training. The first step in getting ready to run a marathon is picking one. Marathons come in numerous shapes and sizes, and although there are many factors to think about, the distance and course of the race ultimately matter the most. The full marathon is 26.2 miles long, while the half is 13.1 miles. You may also run longer distances, such as ultramarathons, more than 26.2 miles, and multi-race events featuring numerous marathon stages. There will not be a lack of marathons to participate in, since many organizations sponsor them for humanitarian purposes. If you're new to the marathon scene and haven't yet decided which marathon you'll be training for, it's best to concentrate on preparing for an upcoming race with fewer participants. Half marathon training may help you prepare for full marathon competitions, find your optimal running speed, learn more about the surfaces you enjoy, choose the optimum route for your fitness level, and get acclimated to running in a crowd. The marathon you choose should reflect your fitness level and your desire for a certain kind of challenge. Finding a half marathon that follows a similar path to the marathon you're preparing for is a great way to get used to the distance in advance of the main race. Find out in advance whether there are any prerequisites for participating in the marathon of your choice so that you can cross them off your list before you show up on race day. Some marathons have strict sign-up deadlines many weeks or months in ahead, while others allow participants to register on the day of the event. Find out ahead of time whether registration is required, and if so, do it right away to avoid any problems. Early registration sometimes results in reduced entry and race costs, among other potential savings. Following a thorough perusal of the marathon's guidelines and a timely registration, if necessary, you are ready to hit the pavement. Some marathons have stringent restrictions about the paperwork you must have on hand for safety reasons, the gear you are permitted to carry, and any other suggestions they may have for you on race day. The next stage, after deciding which marathon to enroll and run in, is to start training as soon as possible. Building the physical stamina, mental toughness, and physical strength necessary to complete a marathon requires months or even years of dedicated training. Sadly, training for a marathon is not something that can be done in a few weeks. Running a marathon requires a major time, energy, and dedication investment. A marathon's preparation time may range from 12 to 24 weeks, depending on the runner's current fitness level. If you allow yourself a longer window of time to get ready, that's even better. Starting your training early will not only help you gain the strength and endurance you'll need to complete a marathon, but it will also give you the head start you need to avoid the kinds of running injuries that might arise from not being properly prepared. Marathon training regimens and schedules are as unique as the individuals who participate in them. Although there are many options for marathon training manuals, not all of them will be suitable for you. The good news is that if you do some research, you may find a wide variety of apps, software, free and paid running guides, and training programs from which to pick. It may take some trial and error to determine whether or not a certain running plan or training guide is a good fit for your needs. There are training regimens that offer you a lot of leeway to do what you want, and others that are more regulated but still give you a good idea of how far you've come and what you need to do next. Finding a training plan that suits your current fitness level and long-term marathon ambitions is crucial. Preparing for a marathon is challenging, but having a companion who is also training or who can help keep you encouraged might make the process simpler. Participating in a marathon might be more enjoyable if you do it with a buddy or two. When you wake up and you simply don't feel like doing out, Having a training partner might help keep you accountable. They may assist you by ensuring that you exercise for the recommended number of hours each week, by encouraging you to eat healthily to fuel your training, and by holding you to account when you lapse. Assuming your marathon training plan allows for it, try switching things up every once in a while to keep things interesting and provide a little additional challenge. There's always the chance that something unexpected may pop up throughout the course of your race. The effects of severe weather are a prime illustration. Bad weather might force marathon organizers to make a last-minute course alteration, or you could just have to tough it out. If you want to be ready for whatever that race day throws at you, you might consider mixing up your training by running at various speeds, up and down hills, and on different surfaces. Remembering that your training will be more like the marathon itself than a sprint is another useful piece of advice as you get ready for your upcoming marathon. When you first start training for a marathon, it's normal to feel discouraged when you can't seem to run far enough or fast enough or for long enough without stopping. Running faster and lasting for longer are two things you should work on developing steadily throughout the course of your training. Early on in your preparation, you shouldn't aim to run the full marathon distance. Keeping a log of your accomplishments may serve as a source of inspiration, as can the satisfaction you experience from ticking off weekly objectives. You need to run often as part of your weekly routine to build up the strength, endurance, and mental fortitude needed to complete a marathon. Try to run 3 to 5 days a week, but remember to listen to your body to avoid overtraining and give the rest and recovery component of training its due importance. You may prepare your body for the next difficulties by training multiple days a week and getting in a decent run. Attempting to run for a little bit longer every 7 to 10 days is a terrific method to ensure that your body is getting ready for the forthcoming marathon. You can ensure that you are making real progress in building your body's endurance and strength by challenging it to go farther every 7 to 10 days. Let's say you normally run 3 miles on 3 separate days of the week. Next week, choose one day to go a little farther and shoot for 4 miles. It's important to push yourself a little farther every so often in your training because otherwise your body will adapt to your routine and you'll hit a plateau. At the 7 to 10 day mark, try running a little farther than you normally would to break through the plateau and keep building strength and endurance. During marathon preparation, rest and recuperation days are sometimes as crucial as the actual training sessions themselves. If you want your muscles to be able to recover from strain and get stronger in preparation for ongoing stress, you need to give your body enough rest. Get some rest and let your body recover from the days of discomfort you had when you worked it too hard. Negligently pushing yourself over your body's recovery limits might lead to serious running injuries. Get everything ready the night before the marathon so you don't have to worry about it in the morning. Prepare yourself by having a full meal, picking up an outfit, and gathering any necessary paperwork. If you've never been to the location where the race will begin, it's a good idea to print out instructions in advance so that you won't waste time figuring out how to get there the day of the event. Running injuries may be overcome and avoided with the aid of physical therapy. If you've been injured while running, don't let that deter you from training for the next marathon. Make an appointment at a physical therapy facility near you today to work with a qualified physical therapist who will tailor treatment to your specific requirements and objectives in order to help you overcome the obstacles standing in the way of a full recovery from your running injury. It's crucial to train for stamina and learn how to control your breathing as part of a marathon's preparation. You may achieve this goal by engaging in cardio-focused exercise on cardio equipment like treadmills and elliptical trainers. For the marathon, some trainers advocate nothing but a treadmill and weights. Anyone, barring serious illness, is capable of completing a marathon. Simply said, it requires a great deal of drive and forethought. The curriculum you follow should be tailored to your current skill set. In other words, a person who isn't athletic or who hasn't been active for a long needs a training program that is quite progressive. Do your best to achieve your objectives. Choose a marathon a year in advance to give yourself plenty of time to prepare. For someone who runs frequently and has competed in events of lower length, semi-marathons, for instance, as little as 2 months is needed for preparation. If you want to run a marathon, regardless of your current fitness level, you need to obtain a physical beforehand. When you see a doctor, you may have the peace of mind of knowing that you are free from any health issues that might prevent you from sticking with a prolonged period of rigorous physical training. An ECG may be performed if deemed essential. Because the doctor has given you the green light, you may run without worry. The phrase training for a marathon conjures up images of miles upon miles of running. However, training for a 42-kilometer marathon by jogging every day is not the greatest strategy. Muscle development and cardiovascular conditioning, by means of the likes of the elliptical, rowing machine, exercise cycle, and treadmill, are essential components of any serious sports training regimen. You'll be better prepared for the lengthy run thanks to this boost in stamina. Some trainers advocate for a regimen that excludes outside jogging totally in favor of sessions in a gym or at home using home training gear. While many runners who have tried this approach have found success, others have said it wasn't enough to get them through the whole marathon. The best scenario, in our opinion, would include both indoor and outdoor activities. You must choose what is most helpful for you. Any training strategy worth its salt requires a well-thought-out plan, and you should be prepared to see it through. Increase your stamina by doing cardio for a longer time and at a higher intensity level. Multiple training sessions each week, with weekly rest days being a priority. Plan a half marathon for about halfway through your training to see how you're doing. Slashing your marathon preparation in half, starting 2 weeks out. Reduce the intensity of your exercises by around 10% a week before the event so that you can perform at your best on race day. Maybe you know from experience that the food you eat the night before a big run will have an impact on how you do the following day. This is particularly important for runners with stomach sensitivities, but it is good advice for everyone. When planning a long run, it's best to eat properly the night before. Choose foods that are high in carbohydrates. Do drink lots of water, but don't overdo it. Avoid picking items that are fatty, hot, prone to causing flatulence, or heavy in fiber. Refrain from consuming any kind of alcoholic beverage or caffeine. Do not overeat to the point of feeling sick. Shuttle times, a healthy meal, and being at the starting line on time may make race morning start at an ungodly hour. So, make sure you have everything ready the night before. Avoid a frantic, half-awake morning search for your race bib and running shoes by laying out your stuff the night before. Reduce tomorrow's anxiety by doing as much as you can tonight to set yourself up for success. Do try out several pre-long run routines and use the ones that you find most effective on race day. Put your bib, clothing, shoes, food, drink, anti-chafe salve, and other items you'll need for the day out the night before. To ensure that your daily routine is as stress-free and simple as possible, do create a checklist. It might be difficult to sleep the night before a race because of anxiety, but getting enough sleep can greatly improve your energy and performance on race day. Get as much sleep as you can before the marathon so that you can run it feeling fresh and focused. Your performance in the race may suffer if you arrive up tired. Do get additional sleep the 2 nights before the marathon, and make sure you receive enough rest in the days leading up to the race. The night before the marathon, you probably won't get much sleep. The night before, do go to bed as early as possible. In the days and weeks before the big race, do your best to relax every night by doing breathing techniques and other relaxing routines before you hit the hay. If you anticipate feeling worried the night before the event, these tips will help you relax. Don't worry if you don't get a great night's sleep the night before the race, you won't necessarily fail. You should be okay as long as you have slept enough in the week coming up to the event. You may be ready to run the 26.2 miles of a marathon with the aid of these training strategies. Before beginning any new workout program, it's important to talk to your doctor. 20-week training plan. A 20-week training plan is created with first-time marathon runners in mind. You should be able to run between 12 and 15 miles per week as a basis before beginning this program. Marathon training program for novices, extending preparation by 2 weeks to a total of 22 weeks. A 20-week marathon training regimen is designed for athletes who can already run 4 miles easily and who can commit to running 4 to 5 days per week. This 18-week marathon training program is suitable for intermediate runners who have completed a marathon, regularly run 5 days a week, and are capable of running up to 6 miles at a time. This 18-week marathon training plan is tailored to experienced runners who have previously completed a marathon and are already logging at least 5 runs per week and can easily run up to 8 miles. Runners aren't the only ones who may benefit from a marathon training plan. Take advantage of this 19-week training schedule if you want to walk the whole route. Many first-time marathoners choose a run/walk method, in which running and walking are alternated at various intervals during the training process. If you want to run or walk the distance of a marathon, this 20-week training plan is for you. Increase your weekly distance. Plans to prepare for a marathon often last between 16 and 20 weeks. During this period, you should aim to increase your weekly distance from 3 to 5 runs, and your total mileage as race day approaches. On non-running days, you should do things like cross-training, low-intensity exercises, like yoga or Pilates, and most importantly, rest your legs. If you're just starting out, don't worry too much about your finish time and instead concentrate on just going around the course. Look at our race time predictor with a recent finishing time to determine the ideal strategy for you if you have completed many races and are used to running larger distances. In other words, how fast should I be running? To prevent exhaustion, you'll need to adjust your speed to suit the demands of each run in your training program. Whether you're a novice or a seasoned marathoner, figuring out your speed for anything from an easy run to a tempo workout may be challenging. Input your most recent race, run, and finishing time into our training pace calculator to get the optimal speed for each training run type. Can you advise me on what to do if I have to skip part of my marathon training sessions? Very few runners will complete their marathon preparation without missing any runs due to sickness, injury, or life. If you have missed more than 4 weeks of training, you should probably postpone your marathon until you get back on track, since it is quite improbable that you will finish in the time you want on race day. It is still possible to train for a race successfully even if you have missed 2 or 3 weeks of training. If you're just getting back into training after an injury, take a week or 2 to ease into a higher number of workouts by looking back at your training log. The exercise is challenging me. How can I tell whether I'm pushing myself too hard? When you ask more of your body by increasing the tempo to become quicker or the distance to go farther, it will respond with resistance. Understand the difference between good pain, the discomfort you feel when you push yourself beyond of your comfort zone, and bad pain, the anguish you feel when you give up, something verging on injury. How should I go now that I have a spot in the marathon for a good cause that I found out about at the last minute? If you're short on time for marathon training, comfort above speed should be your first priority. With little to no prior running experience, you should gradually increase the duration of your training sessions by alternating between running and walking, and keep this technique in mind on race day as well. If you walk at a rate of 1 minute per mile, you'll cover the distance in the same amount of time as if you ran at full speed, but with far less wear and tear on your body. Depending on your fitness level, you should aim to increase your weekly long run distance by no more than 2 miles per week and your total training volume by no more than 4 to 6 miles per week. Keep in mind that success requires consistent effort over time, rather than an overnight miracle. You will be given a timetable that considers the whole of your training, not just the tasks for the day. You may raise your chance of injury, for instance, by not giving your body enough time to recover from the high-quality training you've been doing up to that point during an easy run. The number one rule of training is do whatever it takes to avoid being hurt so you can keep training. This may seem straightforward, but in practice, it may be challenging to implement. If you're having trouble sticking to your training plan, whether it's because you're not getting the results you want or because the exercises are leaving you feeling exhausted, it's probably time to try something new. It's preferable to be somewhat undertrained at the start line than completely burnt out or injured. You may need to switch up your strategy or experiment with some tweaks to your current routine. The adjustment is conditional on the stage of the training cycle you are in and the degree of pain you are experiencing. Here are some potential adjustments. If your training schedule includes shorter, easier runs, you may consider making them shorter or skipping them altogether. Shorten some of the speed drills or slow down the rate at which you're doing them. If your plan involves more than one speed training session each week, consider cutting one session. The long runs should be shortened or walking breaks should be included. Every individual's results from a workout program will be unique. Some individuals will adapt well and become fitter, others won't respond well and won't make any progress, while yet others will react poorly to the stress and either get hurt or be unable to super adjust. More individuals will be hurt or not be able to adjust to the plan's demands, but the portion of the population who can handle the stress will reap the greatest rewards. While a more stringent strategy may have vocal supporters, it may not be feasible for the masses. Some of the variation in marathon preparation strategies may be attributed to the lack of a generally accepted best practice. Some essential features include length. The more time you have to implement the plan, the more effectively your body will adapt to the increased intensity of your workouts. A lengthier strategy, however, calls for more time to be invested. Initial distance covered. The first step in any marathon training plan is establishing an initial mileage goal that is realistic given your current fitness level. If, however, you are already more physically fit than the first few weeks of the plan need, you may skip those weeks and start from the middle. In certain cases, skipping these weeks is essential so that you don't end up detrained. The adage speed up is appropriate here. The less time you have to adjust and supercompensate as the mileage increases in the plan, the better. Accelerating too quickly might lead to fatigue and damage. Rest. The time allotted for rest and recuperation is one of the most crucial, and sometimes disregarded, elements of marathon training schedules. You can't adjust and supercompensate if you don't get enough sleep. If you ask me, the ideal number of times each week to run is 3 to 4. Monotony. Training monotony is useful for gauging how often one engages in strenuous versus light workouts. Reduced fitness benefits and greater risk of overtraining syndrome are linked to high monotonous levels. Days/week and easy days. 3 to 4 runs per week is generally ideal for minimizing training monotony and maximizing recuperation. It's important to take it easy on the easy days if you want to run more often. Longest distance. The longest known long run has been the subject of significant debate. My opinion is that a longest run is preferable since it allows for more thorough training. That said, you need to ease into these longer runs gradually so that your body can recuperate properly. Overexerting yourself on a long run is counterproductive. It's preferable to show up at the starting line somewhat undertrained than wounded or exhausted. How to maintain a healthy diet leading up to a marathon. There's more to preparing for a marathon than simply signing up, but it's worth it. To run that far, you need to put in a lot of time and effort training and eating well in the weeks coming up to the race. Learn about the meals to prioritize and how to best fuel yourself on race day so you can run 26.2 kilometers. A healthy diet for marathoners. They are on their feet for long periods of time, performing the same thing non-stop. Unfortunately, many runners don't pay enough attention to their diets, which may lead to serious physical stress. Eating well while preparing for a marathon may boost performance and make the process simpler overall. First, check to see whether your caloric intake is sufficient to fuel your increased level of exercise. Loss of muscle mass, a raised risk of sickness, stress, and disturbed sleep may result from increasing physical activity without adequately feeding the body. According to the International Society of Sports Nutrition, a 110-220 pound, 50 to 100 kilograms, athlete who is engaging in moderate levels of rigorous exercise, for example, exercising 2 to 3 hours per day, 5 to 6 days a week, may need anything from 2,000 to 7,000 calories per day, ISSN. It's recommended that you consume 3 main meals and many snacks daily to fulfill your increased calorie demands. Selecting nutritious meals is also recommended during workouts. Even while junk food might help you reach your calorie objectives, it will not help you perform at your best. Whole grains, fruits, vegetables, lean protein, and healthy fats should all figure prominently into a marathon runner's diet. Leveraging macros for marathon preparation. The body can have its energy needs met from any of the 3 macronutrients, carbs, proteins, and fats, but it mostly uses carbohydrates and fats. Therefore, highly active persons and athletes have more requirements for carbs and lipids than the average person. During marathon training, carbohydrates are the most crucial macronutrient. You can't make it to the end without the energy that carbohydrates supply. ISSN recommends between 8 and 12 grams of carbohydrates per kilogram of body weight per day for athletes on intensive training plans. Marathon runners also need a lot of protein in their diet. Daily intakes of 1.4 to 1.8 grams per kilogram are suggested by the ISSN. Protein is essential for repairing muscle tissue, preventing injuries, and maintaining lean body mass. Consuming protein in little amounts throughout the day is optimal, and it is essential to do so after any kind of exercise. There is some fat that should be included in a healthy marathon runner's diet as well. In order to fulfill calorie demands, it is acceptable to raise the fat content of the diet over the ISSN recommended level of 30%. Constructing a nutrition plan for marathon training. When getting ready for a marathon, it's not enough to simply concentrate on your running preparation, you also need to put some thought into what you'll eat and drink along the way. First, figure out how many calories you'll burn while jogging. You won't need to increase your calorie intake much if you're not planning on jogging for more than 2 hours each day. The key thing is to listen to your body. You should eat if you're hungry. Investigate the root cause of your run-related fatigue if you experience it. Maybe you're not eating enough or you're picking the incorrect meals. Next, establish a food plan around your exercise schedule. Include complete grains, protein, healthy fats, and fruits and vegetables at each meal to maintain a healthy balance. The timing of meals is important, too. 3 to 4 hours before you want to go for a run, you should have a complete lunch. A modest meal or snack consisting of carbs and protein should be eaten 1 hour to 2 hours before exercise. Within 45 minutes after finishing your run, refuel with a meal heavy in protein and carbs to speed muscle recovery. Nutritional tips for runners in training. The official distance of a marathon is 42.195 kilometers, 26.2 miles. That's a lot of miles for your body to cover in one competition. Training for a marathon is not simply about putting in a lot of miles in the weeks leading up to the event. Training for a marathon includes eating well. What you eat in the weeks, and especially the days, before the race may have a significant impact on how well you do. An appropriate diet is essential for marathon training. So, I'm wondering, what exactly should I eat in order to fuel my body properly while I'm training for a marathon or half marathon? The first step is to ensure that your diet has enough calories to fuel your newfound level of physical activity. Consuming at least 2,000 calories per day is recommended for those who engage in moderate to strenuous exercise on a daily basis, as you should if you're preparing for a marathon. This is on the low end of what's needed to sustain the level of activity involved in marathon training. The International Society of Sports Nutrition, ISSN, recommends up to 7,000 calories per day for an athlete weighing 110 to 220 pounds. Consuming 19 to 21 calories per pound of body weight for 1 to 1.5 hours of vigorous exercise per day is common advice for marathon runners. You may need to increase this amount to 22 to 24 calories per pound of body weight if your training routine includes 2 to 3 hours of intense exertion. The recommended calorie intake for marathon training is 25 to 30 calories per pound of body weight, or more if you're running for 3+ hours a day. You need to make sure you're getting enough calories from a variety of nutritious foods, such as whole grains, fruits, vegetables, lean protein, and healthy fats. A diet of soda and sugar may make it simple to hit your calorie targets, but it won't help you perform at your best. While Gainful recommends getting 45 to 60% of your calories from carbs, 15 to 30% from fat, and 10 to 25% from protein, a more appropriate macronutrient split for marathoners may be closer to 55 to 60% carbohydrate, 20% fat, and 20 to 25% protein. If you're an endurance athlete, you need more carbs than someone who only does strength training or heat, since your body burns through a lot of fuel throughout your exercises. Make a meal plan full of nutritious whole foods by sticking to these calorie and macronutrient limits. In order to keep your body energized and functioning well all day long, you should eat at least 3 full meals and 2 snacks every day. Oatmeal with low-fat milk or nut milk, protein powder, and fruit on the side is one example of a healthy breakfast option. Another is whole wheat bread with natural peanut butter, avocado, or eggs and fruit on the side is another. Apples and pretzels spread with peanut butter make a great morning snack, while Greek yogurt with granola is a healthy option for the afternoon. You might eat beans, fish, chicken, lean beef, or any other healthy protein source for lunch. Include some healthy fats and vegetables in your diet. Some olive oil and shredded cheese on a salad can help. You could follow it up with a supper of brown rice, sweet potatoes, quinoa, and buttered vegetables. As long as you're meeting your caloric and nutrient needs, you have a lot of leeway in how you structure your training diet. Marathon runners, here are some carbohydrate suggestions. In preparation for a marathon, carbohydrates are crucial. Ask any runner who ate spaghetti the night before a marathon. Carbohydrates are an excellent source of fuel, and running 26.2 miles requires a lot of energy. The International Society of Sports Nutrition recommends that runners who put in serious training time consume between 8 and 10 grams of carbohydrates per kilogram of body weight per day, 5 to 8/kg/d, when in training. Carb loading is something that many marathon runners do before the race. Because most carbs are converted into glycogen in the muscles and liver. Glycogen is the most quickly replenished source of energy in the body, and it is this fuel that keeps you running over extended periods of physical exertion like marathons. Remember that timing is key when carb loading. If you are still training for short distances, you do not need to eat a lot of carbohydrates. Around 6 weeks before race day, When you begin to train for longer runs, is when you should start carb loading. You need to increase your carb intake and decrease your protein and fat intake. This will help you figure out which carb-heavy meals sit well with your stomach while running, which will come in very handy on race day. You wouldn't want to eat a big plate of spaghetti the night before a race just to find out the sauce doesn't agree with your stomach. Starting a week before the race, you should begin loading up on the carbohydrates you'll need to perform at your best before, during, and after the competition. Fast-acting carbohydrates, such as those found in energy bars, gels, chews, sports drinks, electrolyte drinks, and crackers, are ideal. In the last few days before the big event, you should eat a lot of carbs to give your body the energy it needs to perform at its best. 3 days before your marathon, consuming a diet consisting of 70% carbs might help you make the most of the glycogen, stored glucose, in your muscles. You may have your pre-race spaghetti the night before the marathon, but you shouldn't stuff yourself. Do not have a big breakfast the morning before the marathon. Afterward, have roughly 150 grams of carbohydrates 3 hours before the start of your event. By carefully planning your carbohydrate intake in the days preceding up to the marathon, you may maximize your body's ability to store and utilize glycogen. Marathon nutrition: what to eat and what not to eat. As you can see, it's crucial to keep up your caloric intake when exercising, but eating more of the incorrect meals can just hold you back. You'll notice a difference in performance when you switch to cleaner, less processed gasoline. Avoid sugary sodas, energy drinks that rely on stimulants like caffeine to keep you going, spicy meals, deep-fried foods, and highly processed foods when preparing for a marathon. Consuming too much fat before a race might be detrimental to your performance because of the extra energy the body has to use in digesting the fat. You need to focus on eating meals that are both nourishing and gentle on your digestive system. You want natural energy, not the kind you get from sugary energy drinks. Replace sugary beverages with water or a hydration solution. Switch from simple carbohydrates to meals that are more difficult to digest, such as those that are extremely creamy or spicy, and eat more whole foods and less fried or processed. You may also want to avoid dairy on race day and the days leading up to the event if you have a history of gastrointestinal issues or gastrointestinal discomfort. As a diuretic, coffee is also foregone by many marathoners on race day. Avoiding high-fat, fried meals will have a dramatic effect on your marathon preparation. What should I eat first thing on the morning before the race? You should continue carb loading on race morning after eating a large carb-heavy meal the night before. You should eat some simple carbs at least an hour before the race to keep your stomach from getting in the way. Smoothies, nut butter on a banana, toast with jam, nut butter on a bagel, granola bars, fruit salads, and bowls of fruit are all good options. You don't want to risk having to deal with gastrointestinal difficulties while running your marathon because you tried something new the day before. When running a marathon, what should I consume? There will be times throughout the marathon when you just want to blast through and not stop for food. Run Repeat, a website that reviews running shoes, conducted an analysis of 107.9 million race results from over 71,000 competitions in 209 countries between 1986 and 2018, and found that the average time to complete a marathon is now 4 hours, 32 minutes, and 49 seconds. Whether you finish earlier or later, keeping your body in motion for more than 4 hours is a significant physical challenge. You should eat well before, during, and after the marathon to ensure optimal performance. Take in 30 to 60 grams of simple carbs per hour. Bananas, energy bars, energy gels, energy chews, and sports beverages are all good sources of these carbohydrates. You can keep running as you snack, just nibble on something little. Starting 15 minutes before the start of the race, you should begin taking in a dosage of carb fuel every 20 to 30 minutes, followed by 3 sips from your water bottle or hydration pack. Take a gel, then drink some water to stay hydrated. If you're using a sports drink with carbohydrates, you'll receive both fuel and hydration in one convenient package. It's crucial that you stay hydrated during the marathon. It is recommended to consume 1.5 to 2.5 cups of fluid 15 minutes before to the start of the race, and then 1 cup of fluid at regular intervals throughout the race to replenish fluid loss, about 3 sips every 15 minutes. Fluids may be anything from just water to a specially formulated sports drink or an isotonic beverage. Avoid sugary drinks and fruit juices, since they contain a lot of fructose and might make you sick. How to refuel after a marathon? To keep your energy up, restore your glycogen reserves, and heal your muscles once you cross the finish line, you should consume 200 to 300 readily digested calories worth of carbs and protein right away. A banana with peanut butter, which satisfies your want for both peanuts and potassium, is one option, as is a protein bar or a glass of chocolate milk. You should keep eating carb-rich foods like pasta, rice, and bread for another 3 to 4 hours after the race if you want your glycogen resynthesis to run as smoothly as possible. Make sure you have something to eat before heading to the pub to celebrate after the race. You should get some post-race food and electrolyte replacement in before you crack open that celebration drink, since alcohol may slow down the healing process. Hydration. You would be wrong to assume that the sole reason to drink water when exercising or at other times is to satisfy thirst. To keep your body at a comfortable temperature, eliminate waste products, replenish fluids lost via perspiration, and preserve joint lubrication, you need to drink enough of water. While on the run, thirst may easily be confused for hunger, and drinking adequately might help you stave off food cravings. To my knowledge, there are no safe levels of water consumption. The general rule of thumb is to consume half your body weight in ounces daily. If you weigh 100 pounds, drink 50 ounces. An excellent strategy for hydration during a run is to drink anytime you feel thirsty. In this way, neither dehydration nor bloating will occur. Recommendations. Maintaining consistency and discipline is of greatest significance. Maintain constant vigilance and support your diet. You know your body best, so adjust your diet appropriately. Keeping a food diary might be an excellent idea that helps you see your eating habits for what they really are. Try to stick to natural foods and stay away from processed foods. Don't try to eat less by replacing meals or taking vitamins. Your body needs real food. Stay cool throughout the procedure. Taking action and making changes to one's food and way of life is not a quick cure. Give some thought to what you eat and stay away from processed, packaged goods. The health mantra you should be repeating is run, eat, hydrate. Dietary essentials for runners. In addition to water, vitamins, minerals, and all of the other micronutrients are essential components of a runner's diet. It's the same as a healthy diet for everyone else, but runners, especially those exercising at a high intensity, have more demands for carbohydrates and protein than the average person. Runners who wish to maintain or increase their weight should concentrate on energy-dense meals to satisfy caloric demands, since running burns a lot of calories and endurance training requires conscious thought to nutrition scheduling relative to your exercises. A common question among runners is, what should I eat? General discussions on runner nutrition are interesting, but what, exactly, should a runner eat to maximize performance? Not all things are equal when it comes to figuring out what would make up the best diet for runners. That is to say, it's not enough to just ensure that your daily calorie intake is enough. You also need to pay attention to your macronutrient and fatty acid ratios. The most important factor in successfully satisfying your nutritional demands as a runner is the quality of your food. Down below, we highlight several meal items that are high in each of these three macronutrients and hence beneficial to runners. Carbohydrates. Carbohydrates, the body's main fuel source during hard activity, are often considered an essential component in nutrition for runners, despite being demonized by many popular diets. Carbohydrates may be broken down into two broad classes, simple and complicated. Sugars, mono and disaccharides, including glucose, fructose, maltose, lactose, sucrose, and galactose, are examples of simple carbohydrates. They give instantaneous energy but are not sustaining in the slightest. In addition to elevating blood sugar and insulin, simple carbs may cause a rapid drop in blood sugar. Although it's not great for your health in general, runners need to eat some simple carbs. For instance, simple carbs are helpful before and during exercise to replenish glycogen reserves, since the digestive system does not have enough time or blood flow to break down complex starches, fiber, protein, and fat. Therefore, simple carbohydrate-based pre-run snacks and running fuel may give an energy boost for working muscles without creating gastrointestinal upset. Fresh and dried fruit, applesauce, crackers and white bread, cereals, packaged oatmeal, sweets, juice, and sports drinks are all good examples of simple carbohydrate-rich meals. Complex carbohydrates are formed from polysaccharides, which are longer chains of sugar molecules strung together. Often called starches, complex carbohydrates take longer to break down, so they provide more lasting and sustainable energy. Complex carbohydrates also usually contain fiber, which adds bulk or volume to the diet, which increases fullness, aids digestion and promotes bowel regularity, and feeds the beneficial gut bacteria. The majority of the carbohydrates you eat should be complex carbohydrates. Good sources of complex carbohydrates for runners include whole grains, tubers, and legumes. Take a look at these comprehensive lists of carbohydrate-rich foods. Vegetables: spinach, green beans, kale, artichokes, beets, carrots, Swiss chard, Brussels sprouts, kohlrabi, broccoli, zucchini, cucumbers, onions, cauliflower, radishes, turnips, peppers, cabbage, parsnips, celery, asparagus, bok choy, potatoes, sweet potatoes, squash, onions, etc., fruits, apples, bananas, pears, peaches, passion fruit, oranges, grapefruit, berries, cherries, pineapple, kiwi, kumquats, plums, mangoes, star fruit, grapes. Nectarines: papaya, melon, guava, clementines, jackfruit, currants, pomegranates, apricots, figs, tomatoes, pumpkin, etc. Whole grains: whole, unprocessed oats, whole wheat, quinoa, buckwheat, rye, barley, brown rice, quinoa, teff, farro, arameth, pasta, bread, oatmeal, healthy cereals, etc. Legumes: beans, peas, lentils, peanuts, soy, etc. Running specific sport performance fuel, energy bars, healthy energy gels, sports drinks, dried fruit, etc. Protein. As long as your body is well fueled and your runner's diet plan is generally meeting your nutrition needs, protein isn't typically oxidized for energy while you run to the degree that carbohydrates and fats are. For example, if you are having a 300-calorie snack after a run, aim for about 60 grams of carbohydrates and 15 grams of protein. Protein sources in a healthy runner's diet include fish, halibut, anchovies, flounder, salmon, sardines, haddock, catfish, mackerel, tuna, bass, trout, tilapia, mahi-mahi, cod, catfish, etc., seafood, scallops, crab, shrimp, prawns, lobster, crayfish, mussels, squid, oysters, clams, etc. Poultry: turkey, chicken, squab, emu, duck, quail, etc. Lean meat: lean beef, pork, venison, bison, alligator, etc. Legumes: beans, peas, lentils, etc. Soy, tofu, tempeh, edamame, soybeans, soy milk, etc. Low-fat dairy, low-fat milk, cheese, ricotta, yogurt, cottage cheese, kefir, buttermilk, etc. Eggs. What is an ultramarathon? Any running race with a distance more than 42.195 kilometers is considered an ultramarathon. The 50-kilometer race is the smallest ultramarathon distance. Alternatively, an ultramarathon is any running competition that lasts for 6 hours or more. An ultramarathon may be a race over a certain distance, in kilometers or miles, or a race over a set amount of time, in hours or days. www.ultramarathonrunning.com. 50 km, km, 100 km, km, 50 mile, and 100 mile ultramarathons are the most common distances for these types of races. There is also a wide range of race lengths, with the longest ultramarathons going as far as 1,000 km, km, or 3,100 miles. The most common durations for timed ultramarathons are 6, 12, 24, 48, 72, and 10 days. Multi-day events spanning many nations or even continents are also considered ultramarathons. The Self-Transcendence 3,100-mile race is an annual event that boasts the record for the longest official ultramarathon in the world with a total distance of 3,100 miles, 4,989 kilometers. WHO exactly are ultramarathoners? According to surveys of U.S. ultramarathoners, most 100-mile ultramarathoners were men, 80.2%, aged 44.5 or older, the majority were married, 70.1%, Hoffman et al., 2014, and nearly half had a bachelor's degree or higher. Ultramarathoners, in contrast to the average population, maintain a consistent weight throughout their lives and have a slower rate of weight gain as they become older. The low body mass index at such a young age most likely accounts for this. On average, ultramarathon runners were 36 years old when they ran their first race, and they had competed in shorter races for an additional 7 years prior to making their ultramarathon debut. Researchers found that the average age of participants at their first ultramarathon start has stayed the same over the past few decades, that ultramarathoners routinely run more than 3,000 kilometers in the year leading up to a major competition, and that the number of kilometers run in training correlates with the distance of the longest ultramarathon they have finished. In addition to being healthier overall, ultramarathoners had lower rates of school and job absences than the general population. Ultramarathoners reported a higher prevalence of allergens, 25.1%, and exercise-induced asthma, 13%, although having a lower prevalence of cancer, 4.5%, coronary heart disease, 0.7%, stroke, 0.7%, diabetes, 0.7%, and HIV, 0.2%. Ultramarathoners, as a group, tend to be very self-driven and lead remarkably healthy lives. Rather than being driven by a desire to win, ultramarathoners seem to be inspired by the experience of the event. Preparation and planning, race management, performance discovery, individual performance, and the shared experience with competitors are the 5 pillars upon which a successful ultramarathon rests. It's common knowledge that ultramarathon running has negative effects on health, yet a sizable percentage of ultra-runners still wouldn't quit if they knew this. These ultra-runners had higher scores on measures of personal goal attainment, psychological coping, and life meaning, but they were younger, less likely to be married, have fewer children, and had a weaker focus on health. Importance of medical checkups before running marathon. Health tests you should take before running a marathon. The CBC, or complete blood count, the amount of red blood cells, white blood cells, and platelets in your blood are all calculated from the results of this test. It's a straightforward indicator of your absence of infectious diseases and the strength of your immune system. All the information you need to pass a CBC exam is provided here. Exam for diabetes. HbA1c, or the glycated hemoglobin test, it's the gold standard for determining whether or not a patient has type 2 diabetes. The quantity of glucose bound to hemoglobin is quantified. A test measuring blood glucose levels after an 8-hour fast is called a fasting plasma glucose (FPG) test. Diabetic ketoacidosis, a potentially fatal consequence of diabetes, may be detected by a blood test called the D3-hydroxybutyrate test, which analyzes the concentration of ketones in the blood. Importance: training for a marathon is very strenuous and has been shown to reduce blood sugar levels. Diabetics may use these tests to monitor their blood sugar and insulin levels while exercising. Find out more about the other life-saving exams that diabetics should have a look at. Tests for heart health. Lipid profile. In addition to estimating your HDL/LDL ratio, this test also provides a map of your serum and blood lipid levels. Learn the difference between good HDL and bad LDL cholesterol and why it matters. Importance: having a high LDL level is bad for the heart because it interacts with other molecules and causes clogging. HDL clears out the LDL molecules and shields the heart from their harmful effects. Test for creatine phosphokinase, CPK. The creatine phosphokinase, CPK, blood test quantifies the enzyme's concentration in the body. The test assesses the extent to which heart muscle damage has occurred, and the enzyme is largely located in the heart, skeletal muscles, and brain. Muscle, heart, and brain injuries, all of which may be exacerbated by marathon training, are indicated by elevated blood levels of CPK. The electrocardiogram, ECG, and stress test, ST, evaluate the heart's electrical activity. This is crucial because it keeps track of how your heart is doing after the marathon, which might help you avoid abrupt cardiac arrest. Calcium and vitamin D testing for bone health. Bone and muscle health rely on a steady supply of vitamin D and calcium. The risk of tearing ligaments, muscles, or bones increases with decreasing amounts of these factors. It takes longer to recover because of these underlying issues. An analysis of kidney performance. Importance: the kidneys are crucial in controlling blood pressure by regulating the amount of salt and water in the body. It's also crucial in making red blood cells. Training for a marathon is really taxing on the kidneys, so it's important that they're in good shape. If you want to ensure your kidneys are healthy, you should take advantage of these 8 diagnostic procedures. Liver function testing. The liver's functions in digestion, metabolism, and detoxification are crucial. Toxins are created in the body during marathon training and must be cleared, thus it is important to keep an eye on the liver. Use these tests to see whether your liver is healthy. There are 5 things you should do to make sure your body is marathon ready. Blood pressure checks. Because high blood pressure typically has no symptoms, it is especially crucial to be checked a few weeks before the race. However, if unchecked, it may harm your cardiovascular system, increasing your risk of a stroke or heart attack. LDL cholesterol. Cholesterol aids in cell membrane formation and shields brain nerve cells. A moderate amount is beneficial. If your cholesterol levels are too high, it may be hazardous because it can block blood vessels and prevent oxygen and nutrients from reaching your heart. Don't assume the levels are good to go just because you tested them earlier and found them to be adequate. Rather, check them again just before you run. Quantity of hemoglobin. Insufficient hemoglobin levels make it harder to exercise and, ultimately, to run, since they cause the body to tire out more quickly. Increased weariness, soreness in the muscles and joints, and a general lack of vitality are frequent signs. They may not pose any immediate danger, but low iron levels may cause serious cardiovascular issues. Substances produced by the thyroid. If your thyroid hormones aren't operating properly, your cells may run out of energy sooner than usual. Your body will get overworked and exhausted more quickly as a consequence. High thyroid levels, on the other hand, are associated with an elevated heart rate and may potentially affect cholesterol levels. Heart health and fitness. Before setting out on your run, it is crucial that you get your cardiovascular fitness assessed. Your capacity to take in oxygen and transport it to your muscles will be measured. Your cardiovascular system, respiratory system, and arterial health may all be assessed with this. 5 reasons to undergo a health checkup before running. 1. The detection of potentially life-threatening diseases that have gone undetected. Even if you have a checkup once a year, it may not be enough to identify serious diseases like heart disease. Long-term physical activity that raises the heart rate may cause dizziness, loss of consciousness, chest pain, irregular heartbeats, and even death. Chronic traumatic encephalopathy, for example, has been linked to the deaths of many sportsmen, including the well-known American football star Mike Webster, who famously refused to undergo health screening before participating. 2. Evaluation of dangers. It is common knowledge that a person has to be mentally and physically strong to run the 42.195 kilometer marathon distance, and that even novice runners have to work much harder than they are accustomed to. This is particularly true while jogging in warmer countries like Thailand. In addition, studies conducted by Harvard University reveal that annually, between 200 and 300 young men and women perish due to exercise-related causes, most often asthma attacks and heat exhaustion. As a result, you shouldn't ignore things like using the proper breathing technique, drinking lots of water while running, being alert of abnormal symptoms should they emerge, and checking with a doctor to evaluate your risk level before running. 3. Recognizing obstacles to running. Many people believe that those who already struggle with weight, blood sugar, or hypertension issues should exercise more to improve their health. However, the fact is that constriction of arteries due to certain chronic health issues might result in decreased circulation to the heart, making intense activity likely to inflict more damage than benefit. As a result, those who have these problems should never start running without first talking to their doctor. 4. Risk assessment for potential injuries. For runners who have had injuries in the past, this is particularly important since continued inflammation or swelling and, ultimately, chronic discomfort may result from not getting enough rest. This kind of screening is especially important for runners who haven't had any formal technique training, since it may help prevent the recurrence of problems that might force them to stop running for a long period if they don't get the help they need. 5. Physical examinations. The greatest quantity of oxygen a person can use while exercising is determined through an aerobic test, VO2 max assessment, administered by medical personnel as part of a fitness test. If the test shows that the patient is exceptionally fit, then the data may be used to assist them develop training plans that will allow them to reach their maximum speed and distance potential. When you have type 1 diabetes and you want to run. Benefits of exercise for people with type 1 diabetes include enhanced cardiovascular fitness, increased muscular strength, and enhanced insulin sensitivity. While exercise is crucial for persons with type 1 diabetes, it may be challenging and worrying to figure out how it will affect blood sugar levels, especially for those who are just starting to manage their condition. Regular exercise has been shown to reduce blood sugar via improving insulin sensitivity and decreasing glucose storage. Some runners have hypoglycemia, low blood sugar, during and after their workouts, or even later in the day or evening. But for some persons with type 1 diabetes, the reverse is true. Their blood sugar might actually rise. Keep running. As you learn how your body reacts to running, you'll be better able to control your blood sugar. Regular exercise may reduce blood sugar levels by improving insulin sensitivity and decreasing glucose storage. Hypoglycemia, low blood sugar, may occur during, or even later in the day or overnight after jogging for certain individuals. Blood sugar levels often decrease in patients with type 1 diabetes, however, this is not always the case. You shouldn't let this deter you from jogging, especially because you'll be better able to control your blood sugar levels after you learn how your body reacts to running. Blood sugar levels may be affected by the intensity, length, frequency, and training of your workouts. Nutritionist and diabetic specialist Amanda Kirpich, MA, RDN, CDE, CDN from New Jersey shared her thoughts on the matter. According to what she has to say, the term running may refer to anything from a short sprint to a long marathon, as well as to high-intensity interval training sessions that may or may not rely on aerobic and anaerobic fueling systems, respectively. Knowing to anticipate these changes may help alleviate some of the stress they cause and lead to more precise insulin and dietary plans. Because of this variation, it is important to tailor exercise recommendations to the specific needs of each person. How you keep your blood sugar under control when out jogging or otherwise exercising is also incredibly unique. Other factors that might alter blood sugar during exercise include how long it's been since your last meal and how much insulin you're carrying. No perfect universal science exists, but if you learn your own personal tendencies, you can run without worrying about extreme glucose excursions, highs and lows. What follows are some recommendations for getting started. Health benefits of running a marathon. 1. You'll start melting fat like butter. People often begin marathon training with the primary goal of improving their fitness levels. Running outside may serve as the perfect antidote to the demotivating effects of the gym, especially if you find yourself bored while exercising there. During a marathon, you may burn up to 2,600 calories. Marathon training is tough, but it's far more enjoyable when you're surrounded by stunning scenery. 2. You'll start eating better. One of the benefits of training for a marathon is a heightened awareness of one's diet and overall health. You'll be expending a lot of energy, so it's important to replenish those stores with nutritious food. Learning about the nutrients in food and how it will aid you throughout your run can make eating healthily a lot less of a chore. The more you think about what you're putting into your body, the more natural it will seem to pass on junk food in favor of fruits. As a result, running a marathon improves your health in many ways, not just the physical ones. 3. The danger of cardiovascular illness will decrease. When training for a marathon, it may seem like your legs are doing the majority of the effort, but in reality, your heart is pumping twice as fast. Running strengthens your heart because it has to pump more blood and oxygen throughout your body at a quicker rate. This has the potential to greatly enhance cardiac health by decreasing the risk of heart attack, blood pressure, and cholesterol. One of the primary advantages of long-distance running is that it improves your overall health in the long run. 4. You will find greater drive inside yourself. The self-control and concentration you develop while training for a marathon will serve you well in all aspects of life. While the physical demands of a marathon are high, the mental fortitude required to cross the finish line is up to each runner. Those that train for and run marathons tend to be fearless and determined. They must also maintain self-control to accomplish the difficult tasks of maintaining a nutritious diet and rigorous exercise regimen. If you decide to prepare for a marathon, you may find that you are more attentive and efficient in your daily tasks. Running a marathon has positive effects on your body and mind that last long after the event is over. 5. It is a wonderful self-assurance booster. In my experience, after you've ran 42 kilometers, you're pretty much unflappable no matter what comes your way. Even while plenty of people start a marathon, only a small percentage ever cross the finish line. If you are one of the few people in the world who finish a marathon, you will feel like you can conquer anything. This may give you the confidence to speak up for yourself at work, trust in your own judgment, and charge you up to accomplish your goals. 6. Your outlook on life may improve. Long-distance running, particularly if combined with other relaxation techniques, may be a great way to de-stress and rejuvenate after a hectic day. By stimulating the release of endorphins, or feel-good hormones, during physical activity, you may improve your mood. This is why, despite having just completed a marathon, you feel happy rather than weary at the finish line. Additionally, daily marathon training might bring about contentment and serenity. Reducing stress and reevaluating priorities may be accomplished by some quiet time alone while running. Long-distance running, such as marathons, has been linked in some research to a reduction in depressive symptoms. If you dedicate some time each day to training, you may get benefits beyond the marathon itself. Increasing your level of physical activity is an excellent strategy for better health. For this reason, outdoor leisure amenities are a top priority for Shriram Properties. You may prepare for your next marathon in style on our running courses, which are surrounded by lush vegetation. Social benefits of running in a group. The conversations you can have with other runners during a run can make the miles fly by. Running in a group is the perfect way to gain motivation, learn from more experienced runners. Running in groups are huge reasons why running is becoming so popular again. There are 3 reasons why running in a group is and has become so wildly popular. Motivation. The best approach to get your workout routine off the ground is to invite some buddies to join you. As you jog along, you and your companion may discuss anything. Most people concentrate on the reasons why they can't accomplish something, but Steve Case stated it best: you shouldn't focus on why you can't do something. If you want to be an outlier, you need to think about why it's possible. In addition, being in the same boat with someone else always makes you feel closer to them. This explains why elite running teams consistently outperform individual elites during competition. Running in a pack, even if you don't know everyone in it, might be more motivating than going out on your own. Gain knowledge from seasoned runners. You could find the answers to all your running-related queries while out on a run. A seasoned athlete would be able to provide advice on how to stretch, what foods to consume, and what kind of workouts would be most beneficial. Getting advice from a runner who has been around the block might help you reach your own personal best. Run 856 is just one example of the many online running groups where beginners may get advice and encouragement from seasoned runners. Social facilitation. Exercise sessions in a group have several benefits. When working with other runners who are experiencing the same thing, a fast pace becomes more doable. In terms of both health and sanity, it's essential to divide and conquer. The presence of others tends to improve performance, a phenomenon known as social facilitation or the audience effect. It's a proven fact that human beings exert more effort, creativity, and productivity when they're in the company of others. Mind games for long runs and races. Long-distance races and runs provide a mental strain that is equal to, if not greater than, the physical demands. Here are some mental exercises for long-distance races and runs that may raise your self-assurance, concentration, and overall performance. Use these mental tricks on your next long run or marathon. Take use of visual aids. Simply visualizing a meaningful symbol or picture might make you feel good and help you concentrate. Think about a world-class sprinter or a very swift or fierce animal. You might also try visualizing a loved one's face to encourage you to keep going. Consider visualizing the organization's emblem or another motivating image if you're running for a certain cause or charity. Outfit yourself for success. To put your best foot forward on a first date or at a job interview, you'll naturally choose to dress in a way that boosts your self-assurance. Don't change your approach for the major competitions. Find a running attire that makes you feel like a badass and stick to it. Keep in mind the cardinal guideline of racing attire: there were no surprises on the day of the event. Use your power suit for a trial run first. Strike a power pose. As you're waiting at the starting line of a race, don't slouch or stoop down. Stand straight and tall. You'll appear more confident and feel that way, too. Break up your run. The length of your run or race will seem far less daunting if you break it down into more manageable chunks. For example, if you're running 20 miles, think, okay, it's 4 5-mile runs. Think of yourself as starting a new run with fresh legs at the beginning of each section, and give all of your attention to reaching the conclusion of that particular run. Adopt a mantra. If you allow negative ideas, such as "I feel tired" or "I'm never going to complete this race," seep in, they'll become a self-fulfilling prophecy. Constantly remind yourself that optimism is essential. Say to yourself again and over, "I feel terrific" or "I'm feeling better." Sooner or later, you'll come to accept it as truth. Find some inspiring running mantras. Play the alphabet game. A fun activity to do while running is to look for the letters of the alphabet on things like signs, license plates, and the clothes of other runners. See how well you remember. See how many state or nation capitals, U.S. presidents, Oscar winners, sports champions, etc., you can recall in a time limit. Total them up, select an item of clothing, such as black running shorts, to keep an eye out for while you jog. Afterward, tally up the number of runners wearing that specific item of apparel. With a running partner, you may compete to see who can predict the number of these creatures they will see the closest. Imagine that, whenever you feel discouraged, picture yourself as an Olympic athlete racing to the finish line. The ideal running form is one that is calm, fluid, and elegant. You can run like your favorite athlete if you only picture yourself in his shoes. Use associative distraction methods to distract your mind, focusing on your stride, posture, breathing, and the other runners on the course are all examples of associative tactics. This tactic is more likely to succeed for seasoned marathoners, while beginners may find that dissociative approaches work better for them. See below. Dissociative techniques may help. Disassociation is the practice of redirecting one's attention away from the source of one's suffering in order to alleviate its mental and emotional effects. You might pretend you're jogging on the beach or beginning an easy run on your favorite route instead. Take precautions. It's important to be ready for everything that can happen during a race. Have a backup plan ready in case your race day pacing strategy fails, it starts to rain, or the wind picks up. Being prepared for the what-if questions can help you keep your cool if the worst should happen. Additionally, it will aid you in calming any nerves you may have had in the lead up to the race. The best mental tricks to make your next run more fun. 1. Long runs on the treadmill. The count your steps game. Sync your steps to a count, says 3-time ultramarathoner, 3-time marathoner, and 3-time Ironman Chris Mosier. 1 2 3 4, 2 2 3 4, and so on. Count up until you get to 10, then repeat. You can also count backwards from 100, which will force you to pay a little more attention to the task and a little less attention to the fact that you're on your 40-second loop of the little track on the screen. Counting will also help you stay in a rhythm. 2. The scriptwriter game. Use your peripheral vision to watch other people at the gym engaging with one another, and make up hilarious dialogues they might be having, says running coach, licensed massage therapist, and 317 marathoner Esong Smith. Even better, imagine how their voices sound. 3. Long runs outside. The appreciate your surroundings game. Look at everything like it's the first time you've seen it or like it's the last time you'll see it, says Mosier. Pay attention to the way leaves crunch underneath your feet. Fall is coming. Notice where two paths cross or acknowledge how the sun shines on a tree trunk. At the end of your run, try to recall 3 really great moments you noticed while running, and store them in your memory bank as inspiration for the next time you're iffy about getting out there and getting a run done. 4. The celebrity lookalike game. Watch runners approach and pick a celebrity he or she looks like, says Mary Arnold, field marketing manager for Running Specialty Group and 50-plus marathoner and ultramarathoner finisher. One morning, I was convinced the guy running laps around the Central Park Reservoir looked exactly like Ashton Kutcher. Turns out, it was. 5. The puppy scouting game. Because when all else fails, look around for puppies, says Mosier. 6. Track workouts. The body part game. It's not dirty, we swear. There's not usually time to get bored during track workouts because you're doing shorter segments, says Jonathan Kane, exercise physiologist and head coach and co-founder of City Coach Multisport in NYC. But they hurt because you're working hard. So for each segment, focus on one particular body part or technique. For instance, on one 400 meters repeat, think about nothing but making sure your hands are where they should be. On the next one, focus on your knee lift or getting your heels up toward your butt. When your attention is on one particular aspect, you're less likely to be thinking, oh crap, this hurts. 7. The final push game. I like to put a water bottle just by the 10 meters to go mark for my repeats, says Arnold. Once I see my water bottle come into view, I know I'm almost there and I push it accordingly. 8. Talk to yourself. If you're running alone and struggling, give yourself a pep talk. Tell yourself that you're not physically tired, you're just mentally fatigued and you can push through it. Say to yourself things like, I'll have some water in 5 minutes, that will make me feel better. 9. Another way to employ self-talk is to practice gratitude. Remind yourself that you get to run, rather than have to run. Enjoy and be grateful for the ability to move, the endurance to go far, and for the time, scenery, weather, and training that you have in this moment. 10. Break up your run. Dividing your run into smaller segments will make the distance feel much more manageable. For example, if you're running 20 miles, think, okay, this is 4 5-mile runs. At the start of each new segment, visualize yourself just starting out on a new run with fresh legs and just focus on getting to the end of that segment. 11. Mark checkpoints for yourself to complete mini goals along your route. Upcoming milestones like a special tree or a statue along the route, or running for 5 more minutes or until the end of the block can be motivating. 12. If you're running on a DIY route, not in a park or on an official running route, create your own aid station for supplies and to revisit as a goal. Run a loop or an out and back route that takes you from your home, starting point, to your car, halfway point, and back, where you can check in as a goal. Or have a friend meet you halfway into your run at a predetermined point. 13. Another great mental trick is to convert a miles goal, I want to tackle 10 miles today, to a minutes goal, I want to run 120 minutes today, or vice versa. That way, if your next goal is 3 miles away, you can mentally strategize, that's only a half hour away. 14. Embrace the challenge. As you're doing a long run, remind yourself that it's not easy to train for a long distance event. If it were, everyone would do it, right? Remind yourself that you're taking on a challenge and the difficulties you face will make your accomplishment even more worthwhile in the end. 15. While taking on a multi-mile route, also remember that you can, and should, go as slow as you need to. Long mileage is all about endurance, not speed, so if you're struggling to keep moving, slow down. Run at a recovery pace, take a walking break, or even pause to sit down for a few minutes if that's what your body needs. Once you've caught your breath and relaxed, resume. 16. Find a mantra, picking a short phrase, such as one step at a time, that you play over and over in your head while running can help you stay focused and centered. It can be your inner motivation when you need it most. You may already have a favorite phrase to use as a mantra, but if you don't, check out these sample running mantras and marathon quotes for inspiration. 18. Use imagery. When you hit a rough patch, try to imagine yourself as an Olympic athlete who is headed towards the finish line. Envision your running form as smooth, graceful, and relaxed. Tune into your senses and practice visualization techniques for athletes to imagine yourself hitting a major milestone, grabbing that finisher medal, or simply making it to the next mile marker. 19. Play counting games. If you run where there are a lot of other runners, try this game. Pick out a specific article of clothing, such as a white running hat, to look for during your run. Then count how many runners you see wearing it. If you're running past or by other runners, remember that you're part of a community and become empowered by the shared bond you have. If you do a lot of running on the roads, you can also do this with cars of a certain model or color. Passing through a popular walking trail? Count how many dogs you see or the different types of trees you spot. 20. Make post-run plans. It's great to decide what you want to do after you finish a run, especially if you're running in the morning. Ponder something basic such as what to make for dinner. It helps you organize your day and gives you something to look forward to after the run. 21. Visualize your race. If you're training for a race such as a marathon, picture yourself running the course, every mile, and crossing the finish line. Picture how you want to pose for your photo as you run through the finish. Try to see the clock with your goal time, if you have one, displayed. 22. Imagine what you'll be thinking as a volunteer puts your race medal around your neck. Think about how it will feel to see your loved ones at the finish line cheering for you. 23. Use your ears. If you're looking for more auditory motivation during your long runs, bust out the headphones. While some sanctioned races do not allow for headphone or earbud usage on the course, using headphones safely and with caution during your own personal runs could be a great way to embrace distractions and motivation. 24. Does music motivate you to move? Do podcasts distract you from the running task at hand? Do audiobooks help you visualize stories? Experiment with different audio content on your runs to see what works best for you. If your run goes for an hour or more, consider trying multiple media. Begin with a podcast during your warm-up miles, then switch to music when you're beginning your tempo. Maybe you run sans music for the majority of the run and only turn up the jams once you hit a wall. No matter your strategy, a pair of running headphones and some music or audio can be a game changer for your long runs. 25. Breathe. Proper breathing technique is critical to long runs. If you're going for distance and building endurance, Breathwork can help you properly get the oxygen your muscles need. Practice different breathing techniques during your training. In through the nose and out through the mouth is the go-to running breathing strategy for long-distance running. If you're having trouble finding steady breath, slow down and pair your inhales and exhales with your foot strike. Every time your left foot hits the pavement, inhale. When your right foot strikes, exhale. 26. Try a new route. If you're training for a long-distance race such as a marathon, chances are you're tackling the same route throughout your training cycle. To fight boredom and monotony, and to keep yourself on your toes, choose a new route. Try an entirely different path, or simply take a short detour on your regular run and explore a new area. By switching up your long runs, you'll keep your mind alert as you deviate from your routine. 27. Don't go it alone. If you tend to take your long runs solo, try joining a running group or doing the run with a friend. Running alongside a partner who can challenge you or keep pace with you will naturally motivate you to keep going. You can also rely on one another when the run gets tough and share in the successes when you cross the finish line or hit your mile goal. How to improve your time. The magic of speed work. The human body has remarkable plasticity. It can change to meet the challenges you provide it with. Your body will adapt to whatever running speed you do on a daily, weekly, and annual basis while training. However, if you push yourself outside of your normal pace with some speed training, your body will adapt to the increased demands. Your circulatory system will become more effective, your heart will get stronger, and your muscles will be able to exert their maximum potential. That will lead to increased stamina, quicker times, and less strain on your body during your regular runs. In addition, you will feel better in general. To prepare for speed training, you should first be able to run continuously for 30 minutes, 3 to 4 times a week. What to know before you start speed work? 1. Find the right course and pay attention to the surface. You shouldn't undertake speed exercises on a trail or somewhere else that could be dangerous. If you can, steer clear of routes that are particularly hazardous due to their volume of traffic, condition, or the presence of barriers like speed bumps or slopes. To be effective, a surface must be as smooth as possible. 2. Avoid fast downhill running. It looks easy, but it's actually tough on the muscles and can lead to injuries in a hurry. Get going too fast, and you might do a faceplant and end up with a bad case of road rash. 3. Warm up, stretch, and start slowly. Always begin with 10 to 15 minutes of easy running before you pick up the pace. Warm muscles will help you perform better and decrease your chance of injury. 4. Focus on form. Speed work improves your system's biomechanics. Think about form when you run fast so that you don't start developing bad habits. Visualize yourself running lightly, smoothly, and efficiently. 5. Make it fun. Faster running may be a new kind of effort for you, but it doesn't have to be drudgery. Break up the monotony by playing speed games and enjoying the difference in pace. 6. Take a rest day. Maintaining a consistent pace day after day requires intentional rest days. Put aside at least one day every week for relaxation. When you add speed training to your regimen, it is especially vital to give your muscles a respite. Avoid back-to-back sessions of intense exercise. For muscle tissue to recover and strengthen, some downtime is required. Running more effectively and with less risk of injury may be accomplished by using rest days and varying the intensity of your sessions. 7. Expect a little discomfort at first. It's likely that your body has acclimated to your regular pace. Because you want it to go more quickly, it will inevitably whine and grumble. You may feel more out of breath and have burning in your lungs and legs. However, you shouldn't feel any severe discomfort. Delay of onset muscle soreness, DOMS, may occur anywhere from 24 hours to 72 hours after beginning a speed training program. You are on the right track by challenging your muscles in novel ways. Specific ways to get faster. 1. Tap into intervals. Workouts that consist of many short intervals may be a lot of fun. The track is ideal for these kinds of exercises since it allows for precise distance measurement. After a 10-minute warm-up, run 400 meters, 1 lap, at your 5K speed, then jog 1 lap to recover. In other words, if you can run 3.1 miles, 5K, in 24 minutes, then you can cover 400 meters, 2 laps, in around 2 minutes flat. It is recommended to begin with 2 or 3 400-meter repetitions, with a recovery lap in between each, and build up to 5 or 6. You can get the same exercise in on the road if you don't have access to a track. Seek for a smooth, Level section of roadway. In the event that you are uncertain of the actual distance, you might use light posts or telephone poles to indicate your intervals. Following a 10-minute warm-up, 1 mile may be achieved by sprinting for 2 telephone poles, recovering for 2, and repeating the process. 2. Tackle the tempo. Do a tempo workout once a week. Tempo runs help you develop your anaerobic threshold, which is critical for running faster. Anaerobic threshold refers to the point at which your muscles begin to burn fuel in the absence of oxygen. This will allow you to run faster with less fatigue. One running coach said that the tempo is the single most important workout to improve your speed for any distance. To do a tempo run, start your run with 10 minutes of easy running. Next, continue with 15 to 20 minutes of running near your 10K, 6.2 miles, pace. If you can run 10K in 60 minutes, your pace would be approximately 10 minutes per mile. If you're not sure what your 10K pace is, just run at a pace that feels comfortably hard or an effort of 8 on a scale of 1 to 10. Finish with a cool down run of 10 minutes. As you get stronger and your endurance improves, increase the length of your tempo training. The longer you can maintain a comfortably hard pace, the better. Practice this workout for several weeks, and you'll probably be rewarded with a PR at your next race. 3. Test your strength on hills. Hill workouts have several positive effects on health. Your quads, hamstrings, calves, and glutes, butt muscles, will all improve in strength. Ending your boredom is a reality. You'll also gain self-assurance and a stronger upper body, since your core will have to work more to keep you upright. You'll be driving your arms harder. If you've been doing hill repeats, you won't be fazed by a challenging route. Running up and down hills repeatedly is a great strategy to increase your stamina as a runner. Strive to exert maximum effort without allowing yourself to coast up the slope. Avoid staring at the floor. Keep your eyes 10 to 20 feet in front of you instead, to keep your mind on the slope. Hill repetitions should be built up gradually from a low of 3 to 4 per week to a high of 6 to 10 per week. Hill repetitions should only be done once each week. Rest periods in between hill training sessions are a must. There might be some initial muscular discomfort. Alternate between shorter, steeper hills and longer, more gradual slopes while testing your hill climbing abilities. Although the length and steepness of hills may vary widely, the notion of a repetition is often the same regardless of the specifics. You should make a strong effort to reach the top of the hill as quickly as possible, then slow to a jog when returning to the bottom. The treadmill is just as effective if you live in a flat region as I do. Start by jogging slowly for 10 minutes to get your muscles loose. Then, over the next quarter mile, increase the gradient to a level that seems tough to you, or 400 meters. Get back in shape with a quarter mile of easy jogging at a 1% inclination. This should be done 3 to 4 times, and eventually 10 times. Wait 5 to 10 minutes to cool down after every workout. 4. Torch some pounds. I know that this is easier said than done, but a 1 pound weight loss will make you 2 seconds per mile faster. Drop 10 pounds and you'll take 1 minute off your 5K time. A 150 pound, 68 kilograms, runner burns approximately 100 calories per mile. How to torch the pounds off? Run regularly. Just adding 1 more day of running or other cardiovascular exercise per week can help burn more calories. Add some weight training. The more muscle mass your body has, the more efficiently your metabolism is going to work. Muscle adds to your calorie-burning furnace, fat does not. Eat a healthy, balanced diet. You don't necessarily need to cut calories. Just focus on more quality foods. Eat less processed, junk, fast, and sugary foods while adding more fresh whole ingredients. Challenge yourself physically. If you start incorporating speed work and hill training, your body will start noticing. Studies show that adding speed work is one of the most effective ways to burn more calories. 5. Try the fartlek. You may be thinking, fart what? Fartlek is the Swedish word for speed play. It is simply sprinting and jogging off and on during a run. Instead of keeping the same pace through your whole workout, you sprint, then jog, then sprint again whenever you feel like it. With a fartlek, one size doesn't fit all. If you feel sluggish, limit the number of sprints you do, and take more time to recover. If you have a lot of energy, run the sprints hard, and sprint again when you don't feel totally recovered. One reason that the fartlek workout is so popular is that it is so flexible. Make sure that you warm up for at least 10 minutes to ensure that your muscles are loose enough to handle the accelerations in speed. A good way to run this workout is to pick out objects ahead of you like a telephone pole and sprint from that pole to the next and then jog to recover. Any fixed object will work: houses, mailboxes, trees, or roadkill. You probably get the picture. Be sure to cool down for 10 to 15 minutes after the workout. The fartlek can be a difficult workout, and if you don't warm up and cool down properly, you could have some very sore muscles the next day. Implement speed work into your training and you will see your time improve. Mix in the other training principles that I am going to show you in this book and you will be well on your way. The new personal record will be very emotionally rewarding. The challenge of marathon pacing. Pacing in long-distance races seems to be controlled by a neural process called teleoanticipation, which is increasingly supported by research. This system constantly determines how fast a runner may go without risking a catastrophic breakdown of homeostasis, like overheating, over the rest of a race. Conscious awareness of the remaining distance, physiological set points like the maximum permitted core body temperature, and feedback signals delivered from muscles and other organs to the brain are all utilized in this computation. In order to prevent the runner from injuring themselves too badly, the computation adjusts the runner's degree of muscular activation, and hence their speed, and their impression of weariness. This mechanism is calibrated mostly by the runner's history of training and performance. Whenever kids participate in a 1-mile fun run for the first time, they always start out at full speed and then bonk after just a few hundred yards. The next time they participate in a race for enjoyment, they will know to pace themselves better after this experience. The longer a runner participates in the sport, the more sophisticated his ability to pace himself in races becomes, with the possible exception of marathons. In running, cycling, and other endurance time trials lasting more than a couple of minutes, studies on pacing have indicated that an even-paced effort, typically with a brief ending kick, provides the quickest finishing times. Most world records across all track distances from 1,500 to 10,000 meters have been established using this same pacing approach, suggesting that it is second nature to experienced runners. However, it stands to reason that the teleoanticipation mechanism's computing capability has a ceiling. There must be a breaking point when this technology can no longer understand the distance well enough to produce a precise computation, especially as race distances rise. It is well established that practically all runners experience a significant slowdown at the 100-kilometer mark of an ultramarathon. High scorers have the least amount of slowing, but even they aren't close to negative split territory. It would seem that the range of reliable teleoanticipation is somewhere between 10 and 100 kilometers. How can we find a better pace for the marathon? When it comes to running a race, optimal pacing means crossing the finish line in the quickest possible time. Let's assume for the sake of argument that runners should aim for even or better splits throughout the course of a marathon, even if a tiny positive split would actually result in the quickest overall time. Is there anything you can do to ensure that your next marathon is the quickest one you've ever run? Take a look at these 5 examples. 1. Complete many marathons. As a person's teleoanticipatory system becomes more attuned to a certain racing experience, the person's performance improves. If you've done it before, or something quite similar, your brain will be able to perform accurate calculations based on the information it gets from your body and surroundings to determine the quickest speed you can sustain between where you are now and the finish line. No one ever trains for the exhaustion they feel in the last kilometers of their first marathon. But now that you know how to pace yourself throughout a marathon, you'll be even more prepared for the next one. The majority of these kinds of acquisitions are made unconsciously. Once you've completed a marathon, your brain and body get synced and you know exactly how you should be feeling at any particular time. 2. Set appropriate time goals. Because the marathon distance is so extreme, few runners are able to effectively pace their way through a marathon entirely by feel, however, as they do in shorter races. You have to hold so much back when running a marathon that the early miles necessarily feel very easy, so easy that you could run 5 or 10 seconds per mile faster or slower, and it would not feel noticeably harder or easier. But a pace difference of just 5 or 10 seconds per mile in the first half of a marathon could make the difference between hanging on and falling apart in the second half. So choosing an appropriate time goal, which in turn gives you an appropriate target pace, is very important. The easiest way to predict how fast you can run a marathon in the future is to look at your past results. If you want to improve your performance, it's usually advisable to aim for a somewhat faster time than your prior best. To what extent you may expect to improve depends on how much your fitness has increased during your last marathon training cycle. A useful indicator of how far you should push yourself during marathon training is to compare how you did in recent workouts to how you did in comparable workouts at the same point in previous marathon training cycles. Performances in shorter races are another useful resource for determining target times and paces for the marathon. Time in a shorter race, such a 10K, may be entered into a race time equivalency table or calculator to estimate how long it will take to complete a marathon. Both Daniels Running Formula and McMillanRunning.com provide helpful tools for converting between different race times. Please note that these tables and calculators are based on the assumption that you have trained to your full potential for each distance of the race. When compared to, instance, training for a 10K, the distance that constitutes excellent marathon preparation is quite a bit more. While marathon training is considered the gold standard, most runners get much closer to peak performance in shorter events. They don't want to or can't run the extra miles necessary to keep marathon training consistent with preparation for shorter events. From my experience, race performance equivalency calculators are reliable for distances between 5 and 13.1 miles, but they grossly inflate estimates for the full marathon. It is important to remember this while using them. 3. Train hard. Like marathons themselves, but to a slightly lesser degree, hard workouts serve to calibrate the teleoanticipation mechanism. Hard workouts expose your body to fatigue in ways that are similar to how marathons do, so they teach your body how fast and how far you can go before fatigue will occur. This internalized feel for your limits will help you pace yourself more effectively on race day. The more marathon-specific a workout is, the more it will help you in this regard. Therefore, in the final weeks of training for a marathon, you should do a handful of very challenging workouts that mimic both the speed and the endurance demands of your coming marathon. Methods for deciding on the proper tools. Runner's shoes. Investing in a good pair of shoes is always money well spent. Finding the right pair of running shoes from the many options may be a daunting task. Spending a fortune on the priciest pair is unnecessary, but neither is buying a pair from Walmart. If you know you'll eventually get around to wearing a pair that's been collecting dust in the back of your closet for a while, you may be tempted to grab for them. Even if you never use your shoes, the materials inside them might eventually degrade. Therefore, you miser, go get a new pair. Visit a running specialty store for a professional foot measurement and fitting if you've never had running shoes fitted before. It's possible that investing in a high-quality pair of running shoes might greatly improve your efficiency. Characteristics revealed by your feet. To find out what kind of feet a person has, they may moisten the bottom of one foot and walk firmly onto a paper bag. Examine the damp imprint to see how much of your foot really made contact with the bag. With a high arch, your toes, ball of foot, and heel will be supported, but the rest of your foot will feel little pressure. A normal arch will leave an impression of all of these characteristics, as well as a 2 to 3 inch outline of your foot's length. If you have a flat foot or a low arch, the whole sole will leave a footprint when you place your foot down. You can learn a lot by examining the tread wear on your shoes, for example. Consider a pair of old, flat-soled shoes. To illustrate, consider your heel. Which do they prefer, an inward or an outward tilt in their posture? Does one side of the heel wear out quicker than the other? Can you tell whether there are certain spots on the sole that have worn down more than others? Knowledge about your pronation or gait patterns may be gained from this. When the foot slides inward toward the midfoot, this is called pronation. To simplify, we may classify runners into 3 broad categories. Your foot should fall in one of these 3 patterns as you stand up. First, there's the neutral, normal arch position, in which your foot absorbs stress by striking the ground on the outside side of the heel and rolling slightly inward to the inner of the ball of the foot. Overpronation, flat feet, low arches, is a gait pattern in which the foot strikes the ground on the outside edge of the heel but then rolls inward during propulsion. This causes the body's weight to be transferred from the outside to the inside of the sole, allowing for more motion. When the foot delivers a typical heel strike but fails to roll inward enough after impact, the consequence is an unusually restricted range of motion known as a high arch, supination. It might help you choose shoes that fit perfectly if you have a better understanding of your foot form. It's important to remember that even the best running shoes have a limited lifespan, 400 to 500 kilometers. A running journal might be useful for keeping track of your total running mileage. Your 26 official guide to running your first marathon shoes internal support will start to degrade after 400 to 500 miles, even though the outside still looks like new. Don't be fooled by their outward appearance. Modern running shoes are sometimes intended to survive for up to 800 kilometers. Helpful advice for choosing the right shoes. 1. Swollen feet are normal, therefore it's best to try on shoes in the afternoon. The foot swells around 1/2 size during the day and during running. 2. There should be enough room for your index finger to fit in between the tip of your longest toe and the top of your shoe. 3. Toes shouldn't feel squished, so make sure the toe box is roomy enough for them to slide up and down. 4. When walking in the shoe, you should feel no discomfort. Take it for a short test jog if allowed. 5. Keep your heel in the shoe's heel counter as you toe off. To go for a run, you don't need to wear anything flashy. Veteran marathon runners have been seen training in worn-out sweatpants and t-shirts. There are newcomers who use cutting-edge technology but have no idea what they're doing. Having the right clothes on won't make you a great runner, but it will make your workout more bearable. The fabric and the fit of your running gear are the two most crucial factors. Running gear for marathons and ultramarathons. Marathon gear checklist. Comfortable running shoes. Sweat-wicking socks. Technical running top. Running bra. Running shorts, tights or pants. Hydration system. Nutrition plan. Chafe protection. Recovery gear. The shoes. You should put the comfort of your feet before everything else since they will be carrying you for a long time. The professionals at your neighborhood Fleet Feet may assess your foot shape and prescribe the ideal shoes for you based on that information. You shouldn't wear the racing shoe you use to exercise in on race day. High-mileage runners may think about investing in several pairs of shoes to use in rotation. Similar to how different golf clubs are used for various strokes, different running shoes are best suited for various sorts of workouts and distances. Race shoes are designed to give you an advantage on the big day. Gone are the days when a racing shoe was simply as lightweight as possible, leaving little cushion to protect you from the pounding of the road. Modern super shoes are designed to shield runners from the harmful effects of running by using cutting-edge cushioning technology. Extremely lightweight, many of them are also constructed with a carbon plate to replenish energy, prevent weariness, and boost speed during exercise. The longer the duration of your race, the more time you'll have to reap the benefits of carbon-coated shoes. So many people wear them to marathons because of this. They are effective, to say the least. Before you reach to the starting line, make sure the shoes you'll be wearing fit and feel good via training. The tops. Having a technical running shirt can greatly improve the quality of your race. Cotton shirts are notoriously bad at wicking away moisture and drying quickly. It's unpleasant at best and downright painful to run while wearing a damp shirt. Invest in a shirt that not only fits you well but is also built for jogging. Stay dry and comfortable over the whole 26.2 miles by wearing a garment that can wick moisture away from your skin, like the men's Craftcore Charge singlet or the women's Bunny Lightning tank. Women need a sports bra that is as supportive as it is sweat-wicking and skin-friendly, much like a decent pair of running shoes. You should try on a variety of bras to choose the one that best complements your figure. Some of the most well-liked bras include the Handful Wide Back Bra, which gives high-impact support and more covering, and the Brooks Drive Convertible Run Bra, which delivers compressive support without limiting mobility. A bad storm is always a possibility when you have to run for hours on end. The weather jacket is a go-to layering piece for when the weather takes a turn for the worse. The weather jacket's robust water-repellent covering makes it an ideal defense against wind and precipitation. The bottoms. Shorts and leggings made specifically for running are designed to let you move freely so you can focus on your pace. One of our favorite running shorts for men is the On Hybrid Short. The Hybrid Short is built from lightweight technical 4-way stretch fabric and includes a detachable internal compression short that can be worn on its own. For women, we love the On Active Tight and Brooks Chaser Short. The Active Tight is soft and supportive, thanks to a smooth polyester fabric that moves with your body for a second skin feel. Both bottoms include pockets that are perfect for stashing a few essentials. The Chaser Short comes in lengths of 3, 5 and 7 and in a variety of colorways. The lightweight fabric wicks away sweat and dries quickly. The socks. Having the best running socks is a non-negotiable part of your training and race day kits. Compression helps improve blood flow so you feel fresher for longer. That's why we like the SEP Compression Sock 3.0. The medical-grade compression in the 3.0 can help reduce swelling and muscle strain, which can help you recover faster. High-tech fibers mitigate moisture to keep you dry during your longest runs. For runners who don't want compression, we'll keep your feet happy. The socks are cut specifically for your left and right foot to eliminate bagginess that can cause hot spots and blisters. Plus, the nylon, polyester and spandex blend delivers a snug fit and excellent moisture management. The accessories. Hydration and nutrition. You'll need to carry water and a fuel source with you for long runs. Your body requires fuel for any run longer than an hour. That means finding a comfortable way to carry water and your fuel source of choice, be it gels, chews, bars, etc. This is crucial to test during training. Nathan packs make carrying your water and calories a breeze. The Nathan Vapor Card 2.04 liters and Nathan Vapor How 12 liters were designed in collaboration with elite ultra runners Rob Krar and Stephanie Howe. The packs each hold 2 soft flasks on the front and work with extra bladders so you can haul all the H2O you need, and they have enough storage space to stash energy gels, chews or whatever else you like to eat on the go. Your training sessions are the perfect time to test different nutrition products to see what works best for your body. Try different products during long runs and high-intensity speed workouts so that you can simulate a race environment and prepare your body accordingly. Fleet Feet runners recommend Maurten Energy Gels for marathons. Maurten uses a unique hydrogel to help transport carbs and sodium through your stomach and into your intestines, where it can be absorbed easily, minimizing the chance of an upset stomach. Chafing protection. Stop chafing before it interrupts your training or the race itself. For your longest, toughest runs, Squirrel's Nut Butter is your skin's best friend. The all-natural formula is made with coconut oil, cocoa butter, beeswax and vitamin E oil. Use the tub or stick to apply it anywhere that you tend to chafe. It's weather-resistant, long-lasting and restorative to dry skin. Recovery gear. Recovery isn't just for after the race, it's a crucial part of staying injury-free throughout your training process. Help your body recover from long runs and speed workouts with massage tools. Feet runners recommend the Hyperice Hypervolt Bluetooth. The lightweight ergonomic design can release tension in the tightest muscles and help you activate areas before you run and recover after you're done. The Trigger Point Foam Roller delivers firm compression for stiff muscles. It helps release muscle adhesions and gets blood flowing so you can get back to your training. Plantar fasciitis can wreak havoc on your training as you spend more time on your feet. The R3 roller was designed to loosen and stretch the plantar fascia and reduce pressure on different areas of the foot. Use the R3 to warm up your feet before your run and to help them recover afterward. Additional points to keep in mind and good luck. Whether it's a peaceful yoga workout or a high-intensity bout on the treadmill, exercise is proven to immediately reduce the amount of the stress hormone cortisol. The benefits of lower cortisol include better muscle repair and metabolism, along with reduced inflammation, stress, and anxiety, due to this stress hormone's role in creating fight or flight feelings. Endorphins are brain chemicals produced to reduce pain and discomfort. They act similarly to opioid drugs by producing feelings of euphoria. Not only do they stimulate a better mood, but they also can help mask feelings of discomfort for hours after intense exercise. Endocannabinoids are also thought to contribute to runners' high, that euphoric mood you feel after completing a run. Research on the role of endocannabinoids after exercise is still limited, but smaller studies indicate that exercise of any intensity can boost mood. What's more, outdoor runners may reap double mood-enhancing benefits. That's because regular exposure to sunlight, especially bright light, can significantly reduce depression. Additionally, the fresh air adds more brain-boosting benefits than running indoors. Even one run can change your brain chemistry in the part of the brain responsible for cognitive function, thanks to increased oxygen to the prefrontal cortex. This translates to better decision-making, reduced impulsivity, and an increased attention span if you're exercising regularly. Feeling less brain fog and more mental clarity can reduce feelings of helplessness, anxiety, and depression. The boost of blood flow and oxygen to the brain can reduce and possibly even prevent many of the cognitive effects of aging. Even at rest, regular exercisers have been shown to have higher levels of blood flow to the brain. This is great news for cardiovascular health and longevity, and it also bodes well for brain health. Research has indicated that the boost of oxygen to the brain that comes from running regularly may also offer protective benefits. Regular exercise improves productivity by boosting creativity, enhancing energy, and having the clarity to manage your tasks with ease. When you're managing things handily, you'll get more done, avoid overwhelm, and likely experience more satisfaction from your work. Aim to run in at least 3 times per week. The more frequently you treat your body to oxygen-enhancing, stress-relieving exercise, the more your body can adapt. Take a rest day as needed, but even a short run has benefits. Vary your intensity. You don't need to do a grueling 10-mile run every day. Even a mile or 2 in the fresh air will give you a quick reset. Ideally, you can get a 30-minute workout in on most days, but take it easy on yourself if you need an easy day. Mix it up. Running workouts can take many forms. You can do a long, slow-distance run every 7 to 10 days, but your other workouts can be as varied as your imagination allows. Try a tempo run, fartlek running, hill repeats, or track work. They all pack benefits, and the variety will keep you interested. Plug in or unplug. Listen to a podcast or music if you need a distraction, or leave your earbuds at home and enjoy some quiet time with yourself. Take it easy on yourself. Creating a habit takes time. You may struggle to get started, but if you commit to yourself and don't make it a high-pressure situation, you'll absolutely reap the benefits. Plan to run with a friend. Scheduling runs with others is a way to help hold yourself accountable, as well as reap the added benefit of socializing while you're exercising. The link between athletic performance and nutrition is obvious, but when it comes to mental performance, we don't always make the same connection. To be clear, your brain is fueled with the same food as your muscles. In fact, our brains are the gas-guzzling hummers of the body's organs, using up over half of the glucose in our bloodstream. That means what you eat impacts your cognitive functioning in a big way. What is a process goal? Process goals are the most important goals to running. The bulk of your runs are training runs, especially if your goal is to run races. Racing is the outcome of all your training, but it only makes up a small percentage of the runs you actually do. So, runners need to love the process. A process goal is a goal you can completely control. It is based on an outcome from specific actions and tasks that you complete. A few running-based process goals include strength training twice a week, cross-training once a week, doing a track workout every month, or running 30 minutes every day. All are process goals that you can control and have the ability to achieve. What is a performance goal? Like they sound, performance goals are focused on your own performance. It means goals such as running under 5 hours in the marathon, running a half-marathon PR, or running under an hour in the 10K. It includes hitting the Boston Marathon standard but does not include running the Boston Marathon. Performance goals are the goals that sound so cool. They are the ones that scare you, that you can't dream big enough. They are the long-term goals that don't happen overnight and usually don't happen without a few smaller process goals. What is an outcome goal? An outcome goal is a goal you cannot control. Winning a race is an outcome goal because you have no idea who will show up to the race. Qualifying for Boston is an outcome goal because you might run the BQ time, but the cutoff might change based on what others have done. Why even make an outcome goal? The truth is, not everyone needs to make an outcome goal. Winning feels good, but it's hard to control. You never know who will show up to a race. You might have achieved every single one of your process goals and even ran the best time of your life at a race, but someone ran better and won. You can't control that. While outcome goals are awesome and they often feel the best, it's good to also set personal goals that rely on the work you've done. How do goals relate? It would make sense that process goals are essential to performance goals. You must follow a process to hit your performance goals. Setting process goals also increases your own motivation to do something. When you start to see how you've created a habit or routine, you are more likely to continue. Performance goals allow us to focus on the details of the performance. Outcome goals help us focus on the big picture, like running the Boston Marathon. Setting process goals is the best bet to achieve both performance and outcome goals. So essentially, all three are good in their own way. Sharing your goals. There is plentiful research that writing and sharing your goals can help make you more likely to achieve them. Essentially, sharing goals keeps you accountable but also makes you more motivated. When you share your goals with someone, you care what that person thinks of you. Why should you set goals? By setting goals, you are growing as both an athlete and a person. This is true with anything. The biggest way to improve with running is consistency, which takes time and constant practice. Creating a process goal to do one thing better than before, like running 3 times a week, or strength train X times per week, or consistently running X mileage, will help you get better. Performance and outcome goals are those big, scary goals that seem overwhelming right now. By creating and achieving your process goals, they won't be as scary as you once thought. Races you might love running. Westminster Trail Half Marathon, the first in a 6-race series of events that take place in smaller Colorado towns and parks, within about an hour or 2 of downtown Denver. This race unfolds along the trails that circle Stanley Lake, inside the 3,000-acre park that shares the same name. You'll run along a combination of packed dirt, single-track and bike path trails, and get to take in views of Colorado's Front Range mountains from all around, and you'll start in waves of 25 runners each, between 7 o'clock and 7:25 a.m. Bar Lake Half Marathon, with both a 13.1 mile and a 15K distance option. This fast, flat race, which features only about 100 feet of elevation change, takes runners along the 8.8 miles of trails that circle the lake inside Bar Lake State Park, about a half hour from Denver. You'll have 4 hours to complete the half marathon, and get to take in a gorgeous route through tree-shaded meadows, and perhaps some of the 350 or so species of birds that live here. Mountain Ridge Half Marathon, limited to 250 runners, this race features a 13.1 mile and 10K that take you into the hills and mountains of the Highlands Ranch area just south of Denver, where you'll get to see some of the best views in the Front Range, organizers say. You'll probably want trail running shoes for the dirt trails you'll run here, they add, describing the elevation gain along the route as manageable. Black Hawk Half Marathon, filled with views of the surrounding mountains, pine trees, and 35 miles of trails, Golden Gate Canyon State Park plays host to this very hilly half marathon that organizers say is not for the faint of heart. Both the 13.1 mile and 10K routes offer tons of climbing and lots of technical landscape. If you are a runner looking to challenge yourself, then you have come to the right place. Louisville Half Marathon, the final mile of this race at Louisville Community Park, which lies just a short drive from nearby Boulder, offers up an epic vista of the Front Range mountains off in the distance, as well as the sloping, reddish sandstone formations known as the Boulder Flatirons. Mostly dirt trails with short stretches of bike path, the course also is mostly flat, except for the challenging hill in the last mile of the race. Rather of expecting perfect results in your first marathon, use it as an opportunity to learn more about yourself. You should run the marathon at a cautious but not terrified pace, accepting whatever outcome may occur while knowing that you will be a better pacer in your future marathon. Conclusion: running a marathon is a serious endeavor. Hopefully you follow the instructions to the letter. Realistically speaking, after you've run your first half marathon, you have enough personal experience to modify the training routine and diet to suit your personal requirements. When in doubt, listen to your body. It is better to train longer and slower than harder and faster. Remember, the first 3 miles is key. Don't push yourself too much at this point because you want to build sturdier bones, a stronger musculature, and a more efficient cardiorespiratory process. When pain becomes sharp and does not go away after several days, consult with a physician. About the author. Mr. Ricky Singh was born in New Delhi, India on July 28, 1969, as the oldest of 3 children, i.e., 2 sisters and Ricky. Immigrated to the United States in 1988, Ricky purchased his first business in 1992, and has not looked back since that time. He has diverse business experiences and expertise, running convenience stores, gas stations, 7-Elevens, tobacco stores, technology startups, restaurants, delis, and other food establishments. Accomplishments include the following: A. Successful serial entrepreneur. B. Owner of all Speedy gas stations in Delaware. C. Completed 52 marathons in 50 states. D. Ultra-endurance athlete, running multiple distances, ranging from 5K to 150 miles. E. Climbed multiple peaks including Mount Manasalu, 8th highest point, and Mount Everest. F. Third Indian American and first American Sikh to summit Mount Everest. G. Passionate philanthropist, interested in human upliftment. H. A motivational speaker in diverse settings. Mr. Singh is a loving father with 2 children, is dedicated to married life with his wife, and believes firmly in taking care of his parents. His mother lives with him in their home in Wilmington, Delaware.